1st, 2015. Silver is trading at $15.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,142 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $332. Antiwar.com reports, with Friday's Syria talks in Vienna ending relatively uneventfully, the negotiations are on hold for at least a couple of weeks. When they resume, they'll have something that's never before been countenanced in talks about the future of Syria: Syrian representatives. Diplomats say that the Syrian government and certain opposition groups will both be invited to send representatives to the talks, which will be the first time either side has been involved in the main international talks, and the first time both sides will be attending the same set of talks under any circumstance. Throughout the Civil War, most of the international efforts to end the war have either been U.S.-centric or Russia-centric, with an eye toward either of them propping up their respective allies. To the extent that these joint talks have taken place involving both the U.S. and Russia, there has been a sense that they've been deciding how to carve up post-war Syria without getting real input from actual Syrians. Still, the recent talks have not suggested much appetite for compromise from most of the participants, and the addition of the new factions may simply amount to more voices for everyone else to ignore while they issue their own respective demands. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports plans submitted by 146 countries to cap greenhouse gas emissions do not go far enough to keep the global temperatures from exceeding the danger threshold, according to the United Nations. Pledges submitted by all developed nations and 3/4 of the developing nations deliver sizable emission reductions and slow emission growth in the coming decade, but the UN's Climate Change Secretariat said in a report released in advance of a global climate summit that they will not be sufficient to reverse by 2030 the upward trend of global emissions. The plans, known as Intended Nationally Determined Contributions, are intended to be used as building blocks for the United Nations World Conference on Climate Change in Paris beginning November 30th, when participating countries hope to finalize the global pact. On October 1st, countries worldwide, including the United States and China, together representing the world's largest greenhouse gas emitters, pledged to outline plans for cutting emissions. Christiana Figueres of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change said the plans represent a clear and determined down payment on a new era of climate ambition from the global community of nations. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports almost a third of the 6,000 federal prisoners scheduled to be freed between Friday and Tuesday, part of a push to reduce America's soaring incarceration rate, will immediately be turned over to immigration authorities for deportation proceedings. While this weekend will be a happy occasion for the thousands of inmates who are U.S. citizens and who will reunite with their families, many of the roughly 1,700 foreign inmates to be put on the deportation track will leave family members behind in the United States. Despite assurances from the Obama administration that the transfer of ex-convicts into the custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement is a routine occurrence, immigrant rights advocates worry that they may not receive due process as they leave. Final deportation orders are in effect for 763 of the foreign inmates who could be deported within the coming days. The rest will be transferred to immigrant detention centers to await orders. The latest mass release, one of the largest in U.S. history, is a result of retroactive reductions to mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines for certain nonviolent drug offenses. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A flash flood warning is in effect, and authorities are asking people to stay indoors and avoid the roads.
We are urging everyone to seek shelter. Remember, Being carried away by this storm is very different from the joy of being carried by Bogdan and seeing for miles from his shoulders.
The typhoon is predicted to hit the South Carolina coast the hardest. Chad Williams is live on the scene now. The wind looks pretty strong out there, Chad.
Verily, but it is nothing compared to Bogdan.
So people in South Carolina aren't worried?
No, they laugh at the storm. They are piling sandbags to stop the water. Would mere sand stop Bogdan?
But there is real danger. Authorities say that 3 people were killed outside of Charleston when their car was washed into a ravine.
And in that we have proof. The storm has failed the true test of strength. Bogdan's greatest power is his gentle heart. Bogdan would never hurl a car full of people into a ravine.
So from what you're seeing out there, real strength lies within?
Yes, this storm, like all else, is weaker than Bogdan.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. And you can call in and, well, you can talk about what you want on this Halloween evening. You knew that was going to happen. You knew that was going to happen. It's Mark with you.
And this Taryn Lupo.
Taryn, you're sitting in for Ian Freeman, who is, God knows what he's doing. Forget about him.
He'll be back for all you Ian Freeman fans.
Right, all dozen of them. So, I kind of feel like I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel here on this Halloween evening, because the easy thing to do for the hacks in talk radio is to say, you know what really cranks my handle? well, it's political correctness. It really just, these politically correct people. I don't even know what politically correct means. I don't even know what the terminology means anymore.
It's such a murky pool at this point.
Right.
I mean, what is acceptable anymore? I have no clue.
I have no clue either. But I do know that there are a-holes and they're crybaby bedwetters. And somewhere in between the a-holes and the crybaby bedwetters, the truth rides, right? Like, I don't know where it is or what it is, but I do know that I have found the crybaby bedwetters for Halloween.
And where are they?
Well, they appear to be on college campuses all over America. I can't even find one story that encapsulates it, so I'm just going to say, ladies and gentlemen, if you're spending money to send your kids to college, this is one of the things that they're probably at least being confronted with.
And before we start, college was probably the very best time to celebrate Halloween in your life. Like, it's epic, the college Halloween parties. So how could they possibly ruin that? Tell us, Mark.
Well, here's a poster that they put together at the Champlain College, Champlain University. I'm not sure. It's in Burlington, Vermont, which tells me all I need to know. Now, I'm in New Hampshire, and I'm sure when people hear the words New Hampshire that they assume that it's just like Boston and Burlington.
Yeah, they lump it all together like it's just like Vermont and Massachusetts.
It ain't nothing like it, I can assure you.
No.
But here you go. The diversity program team, there's a diversity program team. They're presenting the movie Dear White People for Halloween. They've got the screening Monday the 26th, and they're giving away free wings.
What is this movie about? I've never heard of Dear White People.
Well, underneath you figure it out because there's a student who's of ambiguous ethnic origin, right? Like, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe she spent too much time out in the sun. She's got a good tan. I don't know where she's from. I have no clue. Would probably not even think about it in any other circumstance. But here she's holding up a picture of a bloody Indian costume, and it says beneath it, "I'm a culture, not a costume."
Okay.
So, and then this isn't, by no means is this the end of it. I've got a whole litany of them here, of posters. And I can say that with some level of surety that if you're wearing blackface, like, you don't understand cultural norms. I get it, right? Like, if you're dressing up like a black person and, that kind of thing, that is probably going to be considered an unacceptable costume.
And this is something I went out as a couple. I went out as Lando, which is black.
Lando Calrissian.
And I love Lando Calrissian. It wasn't like meant to jade him or something, but I did not paint myself black. And I always wondered, would have been okay because it wasn't supposed to be offensive.
That is a really good question. So you like Lando Calrissian from Star Wars?
Yeah, I think he's awesome.
I saw last night a kid who was dancing in a Hulk outfit. Now, I happen to know David Banner or Bruce Banner, depending on where you got introduced to the Hulk. That was a white guy. But this was a little black kid. And he loved being the Hulk, and there's nothing wrong with loving being the Hulk and being a black kid at the same time. He gets to, dress up as the Hulk, and everybody says, how cute. But if you dress up as your favorite character, people say, a bigot. I found one. So
right.
This is...
Like, did the kid paint himself green? Was he green face?
He was green face, but he was a rather dark black kid. So, it's hard, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is if you have a kid that wants to be Lando, can you paint him blackface, or is that offensive? I don't know.
I think you're pushing the lines, but nonetheless, people are not going to bother a little kid. When you're getting older, that might be an issue. But there's a whole series of posters sort of to let your college student know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. So it says, you wear the costume for a night. I wear the stigma for a lifetime, right? And then here's the costume, and it's a clean-cut young black man who's standing in front of a caricature of, obviously not him, but somebody being a caricature of a thug, right?
Right.
And okay, I got you. All right, fine. You can't dress up as the thug. And then it's got a woman who's got a hijab on of some sort, and then she's standing next to somebody who's a belly dancer lady. Okay, can't do belly dancers. Gotcha. Check.
So, I kind of see their point a little bit. Like if I was in a hijab, or say I was Muslim and I dressed this way, and all these drunk college kids are dressing like terrorists, where they have chopped up heads they're wearing around their,
it's like know these posters, right?
Right.
There's one here with a
that's
Middle
college
Eastern
kids.
guy.
They're going to have terrible taste. They're going to think that stuff's funny. You should be allowed to be an offensive jerk if that's the way you want to go. If you want to dress up as a terrorist.
Why is
I kind of see why they're angry about it.
Why is somebody dressing up as a terrorist upset somebody from the Middle East?
Because they get lumped in. I have friends from the Middle East that are just sick of being called. It's like any argument you get in, they always get called a terrorist. Just because it's the easy, shut up, terrorist.
All right. I got a friend who's from Alabama. Good friend. Now,
you can end the conversation. I know where you're going. It's shut up, redneck.
And that's one of the first things I say to him, just for fun.
That's it.
It amuses me. But here we go. On this poster, I kid you not, is a white guy standing next to a caricature of a white guy with a banjo, big teeth, and a camo hat. Apparently, you're not allowed to do that either.
Wow.
And I don't know where it stops.
What if they dress like that when they're not on Halloween? Because I know a lot of those guys. I was from Georgia.
So this is the difficulty.
I
don't know.
It's a very, very misty, murky pool of, I don't even know what to describe.
Here's a woman who appears to be perhaps of Italian-American descent, and then she's standing next to somebody who looks like they're trying to dress up from the Jersey Shore.
Okay, and and back at you, I'm grew up Italian. My grandmother was part of an anti-Italian league, so everybody that dressed up like a mafia character, she would get so mad about. And I don't get it, but she really got mad about. I mean, how many people do the gangster thing?
Plenty of people do, though, dressed up as a mafia thing, and by no means were Italians the only people who were in.
We're just the most famous
crime.
for it, apparently.
Well, yeah, you got the most distinctive accent. That's why.
Yeah,
it's
and
easier.
the look.
It's easier to make the caricature. There's plenty of Irish that are in it too.
Yeah, but the zoot suit's what's important, I think.
Yeah. Somehow or another, the Italians took it over from you remember the meh, hey, copper, meh, meh. That whole accent. That's not Italian. That's like an Irish.
All right, this is something
mobster.
I wanted to on a total tangent. What's the deal with that accent? Because you watch these films from the 30s and 40s.
It was legit.
Did they really talk like that? Or was that someone that was like, okay, if you're going to be a newscaster, you have to talk like this because you don't have much time. You have to do the fast talk guy. Hey, look here, copper. That. Because I've never met someone that spoke like that in real life. Was
there is
that
actually
a TV thing?
I did see a video, and I can't tell you too much about it, but they took the timeline of this particular accent that you're referring to and what happened to it. So it was legit. People
It really was. People really talk
spoke like
that.
this.
I
Mr.
thought-
and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. Yes,
I just
absolutely.
thought that was some sort of thing they taught you in radio school or something back then. Like, if you're going to be a reporter, you have to talk like this.
They did touch on that actually the schools that taught diction and that sort of thing did teach that particular accent. And that's one of the reasons.
That's probably what it
that
came
was
out of the
propagated.
schools. All right. I'm sorry to derail your offensive costumes.
So
Go
here
ahead.
we've got, the Mexican sombrero with the donkey costume, the geisha lady, the terrorist, somebody in blackface. Here's an Asian guy with he's got glasses on to make his eyes look slanty. He's got a bunch of books. I mean, it's every caricature of every person possible, and I just don't know. I mean, is there a line here, or is it like have the fun police just outlawed certain things you can do? I don't know. You tell me. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. That's the letters FREE. 855-450-3733 or LRN.FM on Skype.
Obtaining a pre-approval can be a buyer's advantage. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. In recent years, mortgage guidelines have been tightened. A pre-approval that's been issued by a mortgage underwriter gets you through the process and uncovers potential pitfalls long before you become obligated by a purchase contract. Obtaining a pre-approval will allow you to be certain about the price range that's best for you. You'll know how much cash you'll need to bring to close, and you'll know what your maximum monthly payment will be. Understanding your limits will help you negotiate with confidence. Plus, since sellers like a sure thing, you may have an advantage over buyers who do not yet have a pre-approval. At Van Dyke Mortgage, we work hard to be your trusted advisor and can help analyze your personal situation and give you advice that matters. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com. That's VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Hi, my name is Scott Fuchs, teacher and rowing coach for over 14 years. I was sluggish, overweight, on prescription drugs, and only 30-something. Fortunately, I was referred to Dr. Z, and happy to say Dr. Z's all-natural protocols over a consistent course resolved my health issues. I'm in the best shape of my life, and most importantly, on 0 medications.
I'm Dr. Zdanowski, author of Evology. Trained as a primary care physician, surgical manipulation under anesthesia, expert in nutrition, diet, weight loss, immune system, and I specialize in chiropractic. My 15 years of professional experience has taught me the 4 keys to vibrant health: a balanced musculoskeletal system, an integrated nervous system, a flowing lymphatic system, and a body filled with over 90 essential nutrients. This has been a secret too long. Actualize your potential, reverse disease. Call me, Dr. Z. 201-945-1177, 201-945-1177, evolyourself.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. And I've just asked the question, where exactly is the line when it comes to costumes? Apparently, in colleges all across America, they have nothing better to do than be very, very, very concerned with the what you're dressing up as Halloween. And
they're concerned about a lot of things. By the way, I've now taken off my Terran costume, and I'm Ian. I'm here on the show tonight. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Thanks for showing up, pal. So, yeah, I mean, what I've got here is they're apparently at Champlain College here in Burlington, Vermont, which says to me all I need to know. They're screening the movie Dear White People to inform white people because apparently you cannot be, at least that's the suggestion I'm getting from the title here, that you cannot be ethnically insensitive unless you're white. So a black guy dressing up, say, as an Indian, whoop, 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 like he is not racially insensitive. But if I do it, then
that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, yes. But I guess...
And it's ridiculous further, the idea that dressing up as sort of this classic archetype, this stereotype, if you will, of an Indian is somehow offensive in the first place. Come on, can't people just have a little bit of fun?
I kind of find it's a boring costume, right? Like if you spent money on a costume to dress up like an Indian, it seems like not worth doing. You know, Cowboys and Indians is pretty old school. I think it was pretty old school when I was playing it in the late 70s. Yeah. And I can't imagine there's a whole bunch of that going on, but okay. I would suspect that if you're dressing up, say, as an Indian with a bottle of liquor, now you have gone over the line to a-hold'em, right?
Yeah, I can see why someone would be offended by that.
I mean, it's a stereotype and not a particularly attractive one, but what if somebody does dress up like that? Is it going to, if you happen to be an American Indian, is it going to somehow ruin your life?
No, absolutely not. I mean, people are just too easily offended, I think. I don't know if it's these days. I'm sure people would say these days people are too easily offended, but I can't compare these days to previous ones because I've only been around for 35 years. But it seems like people are looking to be offended by things. Like, what's the big deal? If somebody has an offensive costume, then try to appreciate it for its creativity, I guess.
I kind of wonder if there's, like people are looking so hard to have things to be indignant about that, and the nation is split so severely down what appear to be party lines. I'm not saying everybody's on one side or the other, but it just seems like we're getting farther and farther away from each other as far as these two groups go, Al Gore's two nations, two Americas. And I think it's just going farther and farther. And it seems like one group wants to be able to go after the other group, and what they do is they drive people to other sides. I don't know. I mean, if I'm going to dress up, I'm going to dress up as a superhero or somebody from Star Wars. I'm going to, it's going to be a fun time. I'm going to really enjoy this if I'm going to spend the money on a costume. Generally, I don't want to take the time or energy.
So you don't have a costume for this year?
I'm wearing my fire department sweatshirt, so I've gone as a shiftless, lazy government bureaucrat. There you go. I mean,
that's offensive to government bureaucrats.
Absolutely. It is. There are government bureaucrats that just listen to what I had to say that says, you're propagating the stereotype that all government bureaucrats are shiftless and lazy.
Well, that stereotype exists for a reason. I mean, because not all government bureaucrats.
All stereotypes exist for a reason,
Right.
Ian.
Right.
That's all I can say. I mean, as a government bureaucrat is something you can change if you wish to, right? Like you could cease working for the government. You can't change your skin color.
Not all government bureaucrats are shiftless and lazy, but it certainly seems like they tend towards that because they don't have the incentives that the rest of us do in the marketplace, where we have to adjust our behavior based on what customers expect. When you work for the government, of course, you do whatever you want, and they have to pay for it anyway. So there's no rush to get anything done. There's no urgency to satisfy a customer. If people are upset, they can tell you to screw off, and no skin off their back. They're going to get the same paycheck next week.
Well, you don't call it a bureaucracy for nothing. You can go in with the highest ideals and the greatest hopes for what you're going to do, and you're going to have a very difficult time accomplishing it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't count the number of times we've talked to somebody on this show or in real life who said that they wanted to change the system from the inside, and then a decade or two later, they're completely disillusioned.
They're there for the pension.
Yeah.
They're just trying to ride their time out, and that's the end of the story.
And you can't blame somebody for that. I mean, who wouldn't want a 90% pension?
Right. Once you're halfway invested, then you've got the sunken costs.
Right.
The sunken cost fallacy, if it is a fallacy at that point.
The only real cost, though, is that if you continue on, you may lose your soul and your happiness as a result of that. And you see these. I always feel bad for the young government workers who are fresh-faced and energetic, and then I just imagine them another decade or decade and a half later being fat and ugly as a result.
There are a lot of jobs in the marketplace that don't feed one's soul very much. Not everybody gets to be a radio talk show host. I mean, there are, say for instance, plumbers. They make pretty good money, but you know what you're chasing around all day as a plumber. There are people that sit in offices and push papers around in the free market, just like they do in government work. And so, what are you going to do? It's the stereotype's there for a reason, because bureaucracy kills motivation.
What are you going to do? I say dress however you want. So this is on college campuses only? Is this the
Mostly. There's a set of posters here. The I'm a culture, not a costume posters. They show...
That's a ridiculous statement. I mean, just alone. How about you're an individual? How about you're an individual, not a culture? I mean, the idea that you as a person who is different from everyone else in a variety of different ways, even if you're an Indian or whatever, you're different from the other people who could claim to be Indian. Mark, don't you have some American Indian in your blood?
I thought I did. When I did a little more research into the genetics, it's more likely that there's some rapey Mongol back in the past. Is a Mongolian costume offensive? Like you get yourself a sword with some blood dripping off it, and perhaps a helmet with a little bit of fur around it. Is that offensive? Well, I suppose to somebody it is. Oftentimes, what people are offended by is somebody looking from the outside of the culture in and saying, you're part of that culture. I don't really particularly feel like I'm part of a culture. I feel like if you're trying very hard to protect some culture out there, you don't have much of a personality. Right? Like you're getting your personality from a group of other people? That's where your personality comes? Other people?
Yeah, that's no good.
Can't you dig on the inside and find something awesome?
I think that's all a great point. The toll-free numbers, if you want to join us here, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
I want to tell you about Skype, too. I think the only show that you can call in on Skype, and you sound awesome. If you just add username LRN.FM, that's LRN.FM on Skype, we'll approve it, and then you can call in using your Skype setup at home. And like you said, the telephone number for the old school, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
We're live here on Halloween night, by the way.
Absolutely we are. Give your opinion. Free Talk Live.
When the population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment and all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ, based on blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Keenvention is coming up fast, October 30th through November 1st. Get your tickets now at keenvention.info. Keenvention is an intimate event where you can meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire, including Oathkeeper Chris Reitman, Libertarian presidential candidate Darrell W. Perry, illegal Uber driver Christopher David, Neocash Radio's Dr. Darren Tapp, State Representative Mike Sylvia, rated an A+ by the NHLA, the Seditious Sirens, the Rebel Love Show's Rob Mathias, tech guru Brian Sovereign, cop blocker J.P. Freeman, new mover Dr. Taryn Lupo, longtime political activist Dennis Goddard, Church of the Invisible Hand minister Rich Paul, Shire Dude, and dozens more. Only 100 tickets are available in advance, so lock yours in now for just $60 or with Bitcoin. That includes access to the Halloween costume dance party. Reserve your tickets now at keenvention.info. Visit keenvention.info for more speaker announcements, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info.
Cryptocurrency and peer-to-peer tech developments happen fast. Stay in the loop with the Daily Decrypt, a new video channel and podcast that will keep you on top of the latest innovations in crypto finance, security, networking, transportation, and gadgetry like drones and 3D printers. Subscribe to the Daily Decrypt on YouTube and SoundCloud and be an early adopter of the future. The Daily Decrypt.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Clark County paramedics responded to a frantic 911 call from a nearby motel this morning, where the Lord our God, divine creator and ruler of the universe, had been found nude and unconscious following his latest suicide attempt. God, who sources say had recently grown far more depressed and withdrawn from humanity than usual, reportedly attempted to hang himself from the base of his motel showerhead after ingesting an unknown quantity of Ambien. Motel sources claim that God's room had been left in a state of disarray, and revealed that they had found a brief note written by the omnipotent deity, saying that the suicide stems from long periods of unhappiness he had been suffering in recent millennia, including the death of his only child, thousands of years of war and genocide, chronic weight gain, and the aftermath of his messy 15,088 BC divorce. Paramedics say the Supreme Being had no pulse when they arrived. The Lord's overdose comes in the wake of several widely publicized previous suicide attempts, including a 1985 incident when the Lord leapt from the Grand Canyon but changed into a bird at the last second and flew to safety.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Of course, you can join us right here on this live Halloween edition of the program. Our toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And how would you like to save 20% at Amazon on pretty much every purchase you make? Sound good?
Who doesn't want that?
You can do it. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com, saveatpurse.com, and that is where you can learn how. It's a very, very simple process. You have to have Bitcoin, though, to do this. How to buy things on Amazon at up to 50% off. Now, Mark, your highest that you've gotten is 45%. You and I have not achieved the 50% option. I've never really seriously tried it for any amount of time.
No, I haven't either.
But see, the thing is, you can put in your request for how much you want off. The higher the percentage, the longer it takes to fulfill the sale. Go to saveatpurse.com to learn how it works. If you do like 20%, which is the U.S. average discount from saveatpurse.com, You do 20%, it'll probably be filled within a few hours of you placing the order. So it's super easy. It works well. I've used the system at least 24 times myself. Go ahead and give it a try. Learn more about it at saveatpurse.com. Ian and Mark in the studio here with you, discussing the idea of costumes apparently offending people. This whole I'm a culture, not a costume. I guess it's some sort of college poster contest or something like that.
It's just a series of them that come out over the last few years. Yeah, campaign's the right terminology.
So let's talk to Mike. He's listening in Indy to WIBC-FM. Hello, Mike. You're on Free Talk Live.
Gents, good evening. How are you?
Howdy. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, I started listening a couple weeks ago. I didn't know you guys actually existed until about 2 weeks ago, and I enjoyed the show. But I've got a couple of questions from your previous segment. You talked about you were going as a firefighter. You had a firefighter sweatshirt and everything on.
I am a firefighter. I happen to have my sweatshirt on. So, yes, I'm going as a firefighter.
Well, so am I. That's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah, he was kind of joking. I guess that for longtime listeners of the show would have gotten it, but it was kind of an inside joke, I guess, for newbies.
Then I apologize because I was going to get on you.
Get on him anyway. He deserves it.
Yeah, I really do think that pros tend to be rather indignant about a really cushy job.
Now, Mark is a volunteer firefighter.
Right, I'm a volunteer firefighter. I get some
you know what?
crappy little stipend.
I was a volunteer firefighter too, but I'm a career one now. I know where I came from. It doesn't matter. You are a brother anyway.
Yep. So, be prepared. I do think that working 20 years, doing 24 on, 48 off, plus depending on the state, some of them call them a Henderson day or something like that, where you get another
Kelly Day.
What is it, Kelly Day?
And
what is that? Every 2 weeks you get another one?
No, it's either you can do a full Kelly Day, which is you select it every year. So if your shift falls on a Monday, then which is every 3 weeks, every third Monday, you because that Monday comes up every 3 weeks, you're off. You have a day off, and that prevents overtime. That's a deal for you, but it assists the department in paying overtime. We in our department have what's called half Kellys. So every 6 weeks, when our shift day falls on whatever day we pick at the beginning of the year, we get off.
So yeah, it's what you'll find often with pros is that they'll do another job besides being a firefighter. So they'll usually work for themselves, either do say lawn maintenance or electrical work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of other stuff. And guys tend to retire at 20 years in, doing pretty well compared to folks in the free market. And I think that. For instance, you can compare, say, EMS workers that do, the ambulance drivers that work for the companies versus the fire medics, and you can see a large disparity in income. And I think that that's probably what I would say. If I have a critique for firefighters, it's like, well, it's pretty obvious government paychecks are bigger than private market paychecks.
It depends on where you work. Now, down where I work, I mean, we make decent money. It's not the best because we all have to have second jobs, and it's no fault of anybody else. It's because of the economy and everything else. You guys know that. But if you go up to just north to a city called Carmel, which is just north of Indianapolis, I mean, it's a totally different market. They have very wealthy paychecks up there, and it just depends on where you're at and what kind of what your whole city and your whole market can handle, and what your I can't think of the word, but it's what your whole entire business is out like on your streets and your businesses and the taxes they pay and things like that. It's all based off on all that. And then in Indiana, all the consolidation they're talking about doing. I mean, it's our jobs are in jeopardy, so we're worried.
Oh, I'm sure. This is what I kind of wonder about firefighting is we'll never know what the innovations in firefighting will be because darned near all of the departments out there, 99 point something %, are all departments that are run by
The
municipalities or counties or cities or something like that. So we don't know if there's a better way to organize firefighting. We don't have any clue. Oftentimes, just to make it make sense, they'll turn fire departments into EMS departments at the same time, and one wonders why those two things ever got stuck together in the first place. Right. And so, I feel like firefighting could be a much more efficient process if it was decoupled from the government.
What do you think?
Well, and most of the time, ours, all the departments down here, at least in my part of the state, in central Indiana, they're like, for me, I work for what's called a fire protection district. I don't work for a city, a town, or anything else. We have a 5-member board that runs the money, and they're appointed by our county commissioners. And still part of the government. I get it.
Yep.
But they control the money. They hire a fire chief, and the fire chief does everything. The board doesn't tell him how to run the department. Which is really
I don't
nice.
think for a second that firefighters are running around in showers of cash out there just waiting to spend people's money. I don't believe that for a second. It's just that I mean, as
Some
well as I
though.
do, those trucks, those the equipment, everything just costs so much. But what's the proper amount of allocation of this equipment? We'll never know because it's all divided up by these artificial lines known as towns and counties and things like that. We have no clue what the right distribution is.
Yeah, exactly. And we're getting ready to purchase a truck here in 2 years, but it's replacing an engine that we've had for 13 years. I mean, it's got almost 100,000 miles on it, and there are some departments that replace their trucks every 3 years or 4 years.
Oh yeah, some of them do.
That's a little much.
In my town, we buy those. We just retired a brush truck from 1947.
Wow.
Hey, Mike, thanks for the call
amazing.
tonight, man. I do appreciate hearing from you, and I appreciate your call. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. If you want to join us here, 855-450-3733.
In all defense, we didn't even take that truck out. It just sat there, and we called it the brush truck. We would take out the engine instead. And my fire department's association, we paid for the new brush truck. The taxpayers didn't.
Wow. Well, this is New Hampshire. I wonder how typical that is.
Probably pretty rare.
Let's talk to Ransom. That apparently is this person's name, calling from Indiana. Ransom, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, I just kind of wanted to piggyback off the discussion you guys were having earlier about when a costume goes too far.
Yeah, sure.
And I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this issue that I heard yesterday, actually on the same radio station on the Chad Benson show, which he was talking about a transgender student who was 16, and she was female, transitioning male, and she's apparently suing her high school because they won't allow her to use the male bathroom. Now, I'm all for LGBT rights and everything like that. I'm completely behind it 100%. But my question to you guys is kind of simple. Where do you draw the line? I mean, if like I have a son and he's not close to school age yet, but if he gets to that age, which he will soon enough anyway, where do you draw the line?
I think it's an excellent question. What do we do about bathrooms in high schools now that the sort of transgender issue is really rising to the surface?
Ransom, stand by. We'll continue the discussion. I think it is a good question, and if you want to share your thoughts, you're certainly welcome to. 855-450-FREE live Halloween edition of Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live.
If you expect secure, privacy-oriented services and real human support from your web hosting provider, choose Virtual Space International. From domain names and SSL certificates to offshore banking accounts, Virtual Space International has been the all-in-one, multi-language solution for over 25 years. And satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. We even accept Bitcoin. Find out how to get 50% off for life at SaveTimeHosting.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
KDArmor.com is your one-stop shop for the most affordable body armor, period. With packages starting at $169.99 and free shipping on every order. Why would you go anywhere else? KD offers soft armor and rifle threat rated armor up to level 4. Go to KDArmor.com and get your body armor today while you still can. Mention this ad and receive a free water purification kit for a limited time with any body armor package. Go to KDArmor.com. That's CATI Armor.com. Come and take it.
It's time to kick some ash because cigarettes have met their match. Smokers are switching to Vaporite e-liquid by LeSig because when you kick ash, you kick tar and smelly smoke too. LeSig smokes the competition with real people customer service, a 7-day satisfaction guarantee, and same-day fast free shipping. Become a vapor today at LeSig.com, spelled LECIG.com. LeSig e-cigarettes. Kick some ash.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the new Healing Our World is a great gift this Christmas for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us right here toll free. We've gone from discussing offensive costumes to firemen to now transgender bathroom controversy. You can bring up whatever you want here. It's Ian with you.
And Mark.
Also, I want you to know that this is not a Halloween special. This is available, till further notice, I guess. A discount code for Vistaprint.com to get you 500 business cards for just $9.99. Now, if you've ever ordered business cards before, you know they can be ridiculously expensive, and these are great cards that you can easily order through their system. They've got an online system that I've used a couple of times. It makes it super easy to customize your cards, customize the text, colors, backsides, and more. Plus, you can even upload your logo to one of Vistaprint's existing designs, or upload an entire design if you've got that. You can even upgrade the quality of the card, like using a fancy finish like metallic, spot gloss, or even raised print. Go and check out all of the options, and then use code FTL when you're checking out to get the discount of 500 business cards starting at just $9.99. It's up to 50% savings over the regular site pricing. It's a fantastic deal. So go and get started over at Vistaprint.com. And it's great for small business owners, somebody with a home office, for instance. Maybe you need postcards, flyers, banners, apparel, and invitations. They can help you with that too. And perhaps you need to hire somebody to help you with custom design services. You need to take it to the extra level. You can do that too. Vistaprint's got an amazing customer service experience, and they guarantee you'll love your products every time, or they'll make it right. So go to Vistaprint.com, create and design your custom business cards, and then use code FTL, like Free Talk Live. That's code FTL at your checkout to get the discount. 500 custom business cards, starting at just $9.99. We're going to continue here. Ransom is on the line. Ransom in Indiana, you had mentioned an issue with a school. I'm sorry, it was somewhere there in Indiana. I don't recall what the town was. But there's someone is suing the school over not allowing someone to use a bathroom who's not the gender assigned to said bathroom. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. And so basically what was going on was that this 16-year-old female who's transitioning to male or wants to be already considered a male is saying that because she identifies herself as a male, she should be allowed to use male bathrooms. Now, if you flip this on its head and you imagine a male 16-year-old who then just one day out of the blue decides, or even has been for a while transitioning to female, says, well, you know what, I'm a female, so I now demand to use the female bathrooms and try to sue for the same rights, then parents and teachers and everybody would be up in arms saying, in my opinion, I think they would be saying, no, you're not going to use that. And even if it is a female going to male who wants to use male bathrooms, like I said, I have a son. If what I'm concerned with and what I want to get your opinion on is that in the future, there will be no lines and my son will be, subjected to seeing female genitalia in the male bathroom when he shouldn't be.
Well, first of all, let's be realistic.
He'll recover from that pretty quickly.
There are stalls, and I don't recall the last time I saw male genitalia in the male bathroom.
The locker room is a different story.
We're not talking about that.
The locker room is kind of where I was kind of building towards.
Okay.
Was that if there ends up being no lines, and with a bathroom, that eventually you could see how it could get to the point where they say, well, I don't want to just use the male bathroom now, since I am calling myself male, I also want to use male locker rooms.
Right. I believe that actually that case has already occurred, that a male transitioning to a female wants to use the girls' locker room and actually has been offered a bathroom of his or her own, to be able to use that would have been, like by herself. But that's not good enough. She wants to use the female locker room too. And this is
that's my question.
The fundamentals of this question is basically come down to government schools. Right,
Yeah.
like if this was a private school,
You couldn't sue.
Right? It's like, okay, you don't like the rules, get out.
Yep.
Right, like goodbye.
Right.
Our relationship is terminated. The problem is that you force people to pay to run this institution. Usually, the worst school in a given geographic area. A school so bad that you must threaten to take people's houses away from them in order to fund it. You force them to pay for that school. And then when their kid doesn't get to go into the potty that they want to, then they can sue. Well, of course they can sue. You force them to pay for it. But ultimately, from a practical standpoint, I don't expect government schools to go away in the next few days. So that would be my solution to the problem. My solution is stop forcing all different kinds of people with all different kinds of values and all different kinds of lifestyles to pay for the worst school in town, and problem solved. solved, and we all get a better education in the process.
Yeah.
But
and
the
that's
short term.
well, I mean, right. You can't. That's not going to happen tomorrow or anytime soon. So in the short term, you could always take your son out of the school or daughter or whoever.
Well, I would recommend that just for for education's sake.
Yeah.
But
and
I would
they're
say
less likely to get stabbed or whatever.
If a trans person wants, a trans person should be offered a restroom or locker room to themselves, I suppose, is probably the best solution here. And somebody who demands to go to a locker room where they're not welcome is going to have lots of problems. And we don't need problems in the school.
Now, just I'd like to throw something in here. To me, and I agree with what you're saying about government schools are the problem here. But, culturally, it doesn't bother me. Like you said, Mark, okay, so he's going to see someone else's genitalia. What's the big deal about that anyway? It's just genitalia. We all have it.
Right. Well, see, my biggest point with this, I guess, is just that, and this may seem like, I'm actually a pretty young fellow, but I kind of feel like an old fogey sometimes because I guess like some common decency things pop into my head when I think about this, and I think I wouldn't, if I had a daughter, I wouldn't want her, seeing male genitalia just because that male says, well, actually, I'm a female now, and I would like to draw the line, a sharp line here, at the age of 18. If you're 18 or over, if you're a legal adult, then I absolutely agree. Hey, do what you want as long as the people around you are comfortable with it and they're totally okay with you coming into their locker room in the gym or in the college where you go to. Hey, you know what? That's your deal. You're over 18. That's you. But when you're underage, when you're a minority, then I'm not minority. I'm sorry. But when you're a minor, then that's when it kind of gets to the point where it's like, okay, for me anyway, it's just, hey, there's some common decency laws, or not laws, but common decency values that I think drive people all over the world and all over the country. And they just think, hey, look, I don't want my son or my daughter as a minor to see things of the opposite sex when they don't need to.
Well, some do, some don't. And but I would say that the jokesters are going to handle this for you. Your kid's never going to have to deal with this problem if they go to government school, because there will be some yucker-do that'll say, but he's 17 years old, and say, oh, well, the guy who's legitimately transitioning into a woman gets to go in the girls' locker room. I'm a trans girl now, too. You got to let me in. And then, going to run around the girls' locker room and get pelted with things. And then it's going to cause all kinds of ruckus. And then out they go. Right. So, I mean, there's no way that in any government school that I've ever attended, they're ever going to let a boy into the girls' locker room while girls are changing. Just not going to happen.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate
Thanks,
you guys
Ransom. Appreciate your call tonight. Our toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE.
I did get into the girls' locker room one time when I was in school. I was helping with the basketball team. And the coach we had to go get something from the girls' basketball team in the girls' locker room, and of course there were none in there at the time.
Okay.
But
were you nervous?
I was interested in what I was seeing.
Yeah.
But
did it look different from the boys' locker room?
It was different, yes.
Did they have pink lockers?
They did not.
What was different about
blue and gold. It was just a different setup and that sort of thing.
Huh.
Yeah. They had, for whatever reason, they had pile carpeting on their floor.
Let's talk
It's
to
a bad idea.
Rick, listening in Michigan, in Flint, to WCK. Hey, Rick.
How are you all doing tonight?
Welcome, sir. Good.
Happy Halloween.
Thanks. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to get on the issue about the costumes and about the PC, about the Halloween costumes, and I was basically listening to everything, the issues about even going to transgender and everything, and it's basically, education, our public schools, just like you said, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was sitting here thinking about it. And basically, I've been studying about this, progressive liberal policies that have been basically in our system. They did a educational test back in the 30s, an 8-year test, which actually started the public the Department of Education in 1953. And ever since, they've been dumbing us down and they've been indoctrinating us, demonizing our founding fathers, putting into this ugliness where they're trying to put homosexuality as normal. And they're even getting into our medical...
Wait, what's wrong with homosexuality?
Well, it's a neurological disorder, which was in the medical journal at one time.
It was?
Now,
what kind of ridiculous claim is that? Stand by, Rick. Stand by. I want to talk to you more about this. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us here. This is Free Talk Live. It's live on Halloween. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is down $3 at $1,144 per ounce, and silver is down 5 cents at $15.65 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $319 US. With interest rates expected to continue at near zero, investors are buying alternatives like precious metals. We can help you do the same. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, October 31st, 2015. Silver is trading at $15.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,142 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $332. Antiwar.com reports, with Friday's Syria talks in Vienna ending relatively uneventfully, the negotiations are on hold for at least a couple of weeks. When they resume, they'll have something that's never before been countenanced in talks about the future of Syria: Syrian representatives. Diplomats say that the Syrian government and certain opposition groups will both be invited to send representatives to the talks, which will be the first time either side has been involved in the main international talks, and the first time both sides will be attending the same set of talks under any circumstance. Throughout the Civil War, most of the international efforts to end the war have either been U.S.-centric or Russia-centric, with an eye toward either of them propping up their respective allies. To the extent that these joint talks have taken place involving both the U.S. and Russia, there has been a sense that they've been deciding how to carve up post-war Syria without getting real input from actual Syrians. Still, the recent talks have not suggested much appetite for compromise from most of the participants, and the addition of the new factions may simply amount to more voices for everyone else to ignore while they issue their own respective demands. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports plans submitted by 146 countries to cap greenhouse gas emissions do not go far enough to keep the global temperatures from exceeding the danger threshold, according to the United Nations. Pledges submitted by all developed nations and 3/4 of the developing nations deliver sizable emission reductions and slow emission growth in the coming decade, but the UN's Climate Change Secretariat said in a report released in advance of a global climate summit that they will not be sufficient to reverse by 2030 the upward trend of global emissions. The plans, known as Intended Nationally Determined Contributions, are intended to be used as building blocks for the United Nations World Conference on Climate Change in Paris beginning November 30th, when participating countries hope to finalize the global pact. On October 1st, countries worldwide, including the United States and China, together representing the world's largest greenhouse gas emitters, pledged to outline plans for cutting emissions. Christiana Figueres of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change said the plans represent a clear and determined down payment on a new era of climate ambition from the global community of nations.
For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports almost a third of the 6,000 federal prisoners scheduled to be freed between Friday and Tuesday, part of a push to reduce America's soaring incarceration rate, will immediately be turned over to immigration authorities for deportation proceedings. While this weekend will be a happy occasion for the thousands of inmates who are U.S. citizens and who will reunite with their families, many of the roughly 1,700 foreign inmates to be put on the deportation track will leave family members behind in the United States. Despite assurances from the Obama administration that the transfer of ex-convicts into the custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement is a routine occurrence, immigrant rights advocates worry that they may not receive due process as they leave. Final deportation orders are in effect for 763 of the foreign inmates who could be deported within the coming days. The rest will be transferred to immigrant detention centers to await orders. The latest mass release, one of the largest in U.S. history, is a result of retroactive reductions to mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines for certain nonviolent drug offenses. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. It's really not creepy that little kids mindlessly recite this anthem every day and pledge their life to a government before they're old enough to really think about what they're saying. This is not a form of brainwashing. This is really the greatest country in the whole world. All the other countries suck. And if this country ever goes to war, as it often wants to do, I promise to help go and kill all the other countries' kids. God bless GE. God bless Citigroup. Amen.
Very good, kids. Now come and get your Ritalin.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. Our toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And joining you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
And me, Mark.
Mark, who's freshly back from Vegas at the Bitcoin Investor Conference. It's been a weekend of conferences here for you and I, Mark. I've been at the Keenvention here in Keene, New Hampshire, the Liberty Gathering of the Fall in New Hampshire. It's actually still in the midst of happening. It's got one more day tomorrow, so if you're in New England, you can make it up here. Go to keenvention.info to learn where and when and what's happening tomorrow, because we got a full day ahead of us. It's not over yet. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us here, you can bring up whatever's on your mind. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We've got Rick on the line in Michigan. He was responding to, I think, the issue of the transgender bathrooms. Actually, I'm not really sure what the initial point of the call was, Rick, but you had mentioned something about, you basically said that being gay is not natural. I don't want to put words in your mouth, so can you go ahead?
What I was saying is that basically government has been controlling the content of information being taught in our public schools.
Yeah, that's true.
And so they're pushing these ideas, of course, that are destructive for our country. and they're taking God out of our country, out of everything. And so now they're pushing also that homosexuality is basically normal, when in actuality,
it happens in nature, so therefore it's normal by that definition.
It's at the very least natural, right?
Yeah.
It goes against all laws of nature. If you're trying to procreate in nature, I mean, I think we're the only animal on this planet that is doing that kind of sort of thing.
Doing what kind of sort of thing?
Procreating?
We're the only animal that actually thinks and reasons, and we can actually...
Hold on a moment here. Now, did you just say that we're the only animal that is doing gay things? Is that what you were saying there?
I would imagine.
Demonstrably false. You need to not stop imagining.
Lots of gay critters.
Yeah, and look at the reality and the evidence.
The act, it's probably something they don't even know what they're doing.
All right,
but the thing is that we know what we're doing, and we have think and reason. We think and reason. We know that it's not,
Do you
normal.
decide? Wait. Look, you might have been born straight, and I think that's how people are, right? They are born a certain way, and certainly most people.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want to do, and if they want to do that, they can go behind the green door and shut it. But it actually don't have to.
Most gay people are doing their deeds in private, so I don't think you have to worry about that.
Well, no, they go now and they want to force people into churches that go to churchgoers, and then they want to be able to perform into a gay marriage, which is actually a blasphemic act right in the church. And so that.
But my church does do gay marriages.
Well, so they should actually build a church, not go in those 100-year-old ones or 1,000-year-old ones that go in there.
I think that they should go to the churches that that want to do gay marriages for them. I mean, that's their business, right? Some Episcopal churches want to do that.
They're being forced into doing something that actually.
I'm not familiar with this case. Is there a case where a church is being forced to do a gay wedding? Because I would be against that.
Now, if they denied it, of course, like that lady that stood her ground over there was a city councilor or whatever she was over.
She was a clerk of the court, but she wasn't a reverend.
Yeah. But when she stood her ground, some of these preachers would actually give in to this PC, and so they don't want to be attacked or anything. So of course they're going to allow.
Well, those preachers apparently don't hold whatever that belief is very closely. But the problem is that the government got involved in marriage in the first place. Marriage licenses became widespread because they didn't want blacks and whites getting married post-Civil War, and Republicans were just fine with marriage being between one man and one woman for a very long time. They weren't going out there and they weren't saying, you know what, marriage, the government shouldn't be involved in marriage. Republicans were propagating it all over the place, and now the Republicans are interested in the libertarian stance on marriage, which is that the government shouldn't be involved.
We don't mind that the marriage is all fine. They can actually go to a court and get married by the.
They can come to my church and get married if they want.
Power of the attorney, or by the power of the state that's invested in the whoever it is. Actually
Why would you want to get married by the state?
Ew, that's icky.
Yeah, I mean, these people.
I'm saying if they want to get married by the court, so they can get the same kind of rights and stuff like that.
Well, they could get married by Mark's church. That's okay, right?
Married,
Rick?
Right? If they get married, that somebody dies, right? And they get their benefits and stuff like that. They have the same kind of.
So I'm glad that you support gay marriage. That's a good thing. But you're okay with Mark's church marrying gay people, right? If they want to.
Not at a church, I would say.
Whoa! It's not your church.
Well, they can build a church and they can have one of all their own, and they can have that. That's fine. But
what if Mark's church wants to allow them to get married? Why is that a problem?
That have churchgoers that are already there, that have been there praising the Lord, and they're all straight, and they go by the word of God.
Do you think all churches follow your belief system?
No, not by my belief system. I'm talking about when people have been going to church, and all of a sudden this whole thing starts to change around.
Is this all of a sudden, Mark? You said your church has been doing gay marriage.
Yeah, church has been the Quakers have been doing gay marriages for a long time.
Thanks
as
for the
have
call,
the
Rick.
Episcopals. The
Appreciate
thing is that things are going to change. If your church, for whatever reason, decides to start doing gay marriages and you don't want that, do what they did right here in the Monadnock region. A church had a schism over this. There were two buildings.
Really?
They took two buildings. They went into two different places.
Which church?
I don't know the name of it, honestly.
Yeah, I was just curious what the religion was.
I don't know. I drive by it. I really don't pay much attention.
How did you hear about that? Was it in the news?
It was a local chit-chat.
Huh. Okay.
So I don't know the specifics of it. Whatever.
Let's talk. Huh?
Why? I can't understand why people would want to go to a church where they don't want to perform a wedding for them. right? Like, I wouldn't, if I was gay, I wouldn't want to go to a church. As a matter of fact, if I was straight, I wouldn't want to go to a church where they're like, we're just not going to deal with your friends around here.
Let's go to Dave, listening in California. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Dave.
Hey, well, I appreciate the good sense you showed with that last caller, and there was a need for good sense there. And I didn't want to be one to transition too abruptly away from the topic of who gets to use what restroom, but I don't find it relevant to me.
Not a worry. It's Free Talk Live, Dave. You never have to apologize for bringing up what you want, so please.
Well, I'm hoping I can get your guys' thoughts on something, because I've come to the conclusion that it doesn't so much matter what kind of government we have. What matters an awful lot is what kind of people are getting into that government and trying to manage it, represent it. I think, if there are people that are honestly trying to do the best for the people they represent, their constituents, they're going to do it. And if they are in it because they want...
It's not possible. You can't represent your constituents. I mean, by the nature of the idea of representing people, you inevitably are going to have conflicts because people are different. And your constituents, you better believe, are going to have differing views on various different issues. So you could claim that you represent the majority of the constituents, but you could never represent all the constituents. And further, you really can't even represent a majority of them very accurately either, because even the majority probably disagrees on the details of how, a transgender bathroom should be applied or whatever the hell the issue is that you're supposedly representing them on. The only thing you can really accurately do as far as representing another person is represent yourself or maybe one other person. Because as soon as you bring a second person in, as soon as, if you tried to represent Mark and I, it wouldn't work, Dave, because Mark and I, even though we agree on a lot of things, we still don't agree on all the details. So you couldn't possibly accurately represent the both of us, could you?
Well, I think you're taking me in a direction I didn't intend to go, and that's not my logic either. It is, we have in our country now a government in which people seem to be committed to representing a small fraction of 1% who are strictly in the business of making big bucks, and in no sense in the business of trying to represent what maybe benefits the majority of struggling working people.
Well, that may be an accurate statement. What is it that could be done to ever change that? I mean, it's the mega corporations are the ones lining these guys' pockets. I mean, putting up somebody else to run for office just means they'll be subject to the same bribery.
Well, that's what at least we got to see and explore and come up with a plan, because as long as that goes on, we're in a hell of a fix right now.
Yeah, I can understand it. And you're in California, so it's probably even more pronounced there. Thank you, Dave, for your call. Here in New Hampshire, the state representatives get paid $100 a year. So that tends to result in a certain type of person who would normally be attracted to politics not being attracted to being a representative in New Hampshire.
No lawyer industrial complex.
So I think that's a good thing about, that's one way to kind of mitigate that problem. 855-450-FREE, that's our number here.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
Are you still looking for that one iodine that you can really trust? A medical doctor endorsed product that is backed by honest research and true integrative science? Then search no further. Go to NutriMedical.com for Dr. Bill Deagle's Nutriodine, proven time and time again. to be the very best iodine available for you. Nutriodine is the only Tesla-activated monatomic plasma iodine in the world. It optimizes mitochondrial function and generation of new mitochondria, from totally neutralizing the venom from a desert recluse spider bite in Southern California to eliminating malaria parasites reported by medical missionaries in central India. Dr. Bill's Nutriodine is simply the most powerful healing formula there is. Nutriodine clears the body of all known pathogens, restores it to an alkaline state, and even promotes stem cell regeneration. Order Dr. Bill's Nutriodine today at 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film, Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Oh yes, it is Free Talk Live, and it's extra live on Halloween. We're here for you. You can call in about anything you want to discuss, and join us online, of course, at freetalklive.com. You know, Mark, health insurance isn't the only option for people, is it? As much as the government might like you to think.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we've started Liberty Health Share at my house. So we're doing Liberty Health Share, and it is really working for us. For us, it's a solution to Obamacare, because you share with other people who share your values the costs of healthcare. It's not insurance exactly. It's a health share. You share the burden, but you choose your own doctor. You choose your own hospital. You live out your values in healthcare. You can join the movement and to change healthcare for good. It's libertyhealthshare.org, 800-722-8041. libertyhealthshare.org, 800-722-8041.
All right, let's continue with your calls and thoughts. You can bring up what you want. Let's go to Jim. He's listening in Delaware. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Jim.
Yeah, I got a statement to make.
All right.
First of all, the government, I wish they never got involved in marriage, causing it to have a license in order to marry. And,
I'm with you there.
But now that the government is involved, they should have fixed straight marriage before legalizing same-sex marriage.
Now, how do you fix straight marriage? What do you mean by that?
My girlfriend, Donald Trump said he's going to fix it. I'm all for it.
What do you mean? I mean, what is it when you say fix it? What do you want to see?
My girlfriend, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and I can never get married because the Social Security lawyer said that she will lose her Social Security benefits that she gets from her father. That if we get married, she loses it. And as a result, we lose our house because we need that income.
Well, it's what happens when you depend on the government, right? They get to set the rules.
Right,
I'd say that you're married if you say you're married, and the piece of paper that the government gives you should be inconsequential.
Yeah, just go ahead and have a marriage ceremony.
Right, because we even exchanged vows in our house after being in our house together for 7 years.
There you go.
And exchanged vows and rings. But in the eyes of the government, we're not married. But, hey, I guess God is greater than the government.
Yeah, who cares what they think? They're just a bunch of people.
We're married.
Jim, good call. Thanks for the call. I appreciate hearing from you tonight. Let's go to VPO, calling from Earth. You're on Free Talk Live. VPO.
Hey guys, how you doing? Happy Halloween.
Hey, Dave in New York. What's on your mind tonight?
My ex-best friend, you all know him, Nick from Boston, Massachusetts.
Do not know him, but he's called. I think he might have called the show. But just because someone calls the show doesn't mean that I know them. I don't really know you either, Dave. We just know you. We just know what you tell us. Anyway, what about this guy in Boston?
Well, he is now my ex-best friend. He does illegal drugs, and I want him to stop.
Oh my goodness gracious! Now you have never done an illegal drug?
Never. He has sent me so many videos of him. He has sent me so many videos smoking pot, doing weed, and taking pictures with meth. His brain is so messed up.
Taking pictures with meth.
Yes, I keep telling his brain is so messed up that I keep on telling him to not post on the DS board. And what does he do? He does it anyway. I'm sick of it. You know. I want him
now,
to
what
stop.
is the BS? What is? Hold on. I don't know if you can. If BS stands for something you can't say on the radio, then don't say it. But what is the BS board generally? What is that?
D like in dog, S like in Superman.
Okay.
But he does. His brain is so unwired and so messed up that I tell him to not post on the DS board, and what does he do? He does it anyway.
What does DS actually stand for?
Why would you tell somebody they can't post on a board? Do you own the board?
Because I don't. The what?
Do you own the board? Did you put the message board up?
No, I don't. Some guy down over in Pennsylvania.
All right, then stop ordering
Jonathan
people
Hales,
around,
whatever,
Dave.
something.
Problem solved.
What is the DS board, Dave? What is it?
It's something I really can't say on the radio, but I just want him to stop, posting on there. And,
what drugs are you? What drugs have you done, Dave?
Never. I have never done any illegal drugs at all.
But what legal drugs? What legal drugs are you into then?
I even put up a video of him smoking pot, smoking weed.
Okay.
And,
I got you. But I want to know more about you, Dave, not Nick. I'm not really interested in him. So what drugs legally have you done?
I just want my ex-best friend, Nick, to stop taking drugs.
Dave, you got to have a conversation. This isn't a one-sided thing where you just keep getting to repeat yourself over and over again. So I'll give you one more chance to have an actual conversation with me. What legal drugs have you done, Dave?
What legal? I mean, like the stuff you get at like CVS or Walgreens, that kind of stuff?
Sure.
I get like anxiety pills.
Uh-huh. What about alcohol? Have you ever done alcohol?
Never drunk, never.
Really? That is fascinating. All right. Very interesting, Dave.
Yeah, it could be one of the reasons why your calls are so boring.
I'm surprised.
Here's my recommendation, Dave, is that you have a talk with your friend and express your concern as opposed to...
I have, Mark.
He doesn't care.
Mark.
He's no longer his friend.
He doesn't care. I keep on telling him to not...
Well, he's obviously picking his weed over you, Dave. Well, how's that make you feel? Someone chose an inanimate object, a plant, has been chosen over you. What is that? How does that make you feel?
Very angry.
Well, that isn't a surprise to me,
Hey, Dave, I hear you're coming to the Halloween party tonight in Keene. Is it true?
I don't even have a costume. I didn't even know about it.
I hear that there's
actually somebody's dressed up as you.
There's going to be pictures of you at this Halloween costume.
They've got a sticker on that says that they're not a pedophile.
Anyway. But,
thanks, Dave, for the call tonight. Do you think he's real?
Yeah.
You think he's real? I think he's real.
Absolutely.
All right, toll-free number. And by the way, Johnson.
Really weird.
Johnson's costume looks awesome. And for those of you who've been following the show, you know that Dave has called for a long time on Free Talk Live. He is not quite a chronic caller, but calls often enough to be recognizable. Like he tried to call himself VPO there was his name. Oh, maybe that stands for very pissed off or something like that. Because he's usually angry when he calls in. Always angry about some wrong that another person has allegedly committed against him. And it's usually based on some sort of internet message board. Anyway, Dave has a YouTube channel. It's called Hudson Valley Guy and then the number 1. And he literally has over 1,000 videos that range from fairly entertaining and amusing because of Dave's mannerisms and the way he repeats himself and the things he says in the videos, to bizarre and very strange. And it can be an entertaining watch, especially if you get high first. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Let's go to York. Not that I'm recommending that, kids in the audience. But, of course, I'd recommend that over getting drunk because drinking alcohol is a really dangerous thing. It's a super dangerous drug. I'm glad to hear Dave stays away from alcohol. Let's go on, though. Cheryl, listening in Indianapolis. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Cheryl.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I was listening to one of your callers, so I think I kind of get the gist of where he might have been going, but you kind of threw him because you hit him with some pretty hard facts that he didn't have any preparation for. But I think what he was trying to say is, you know, if I'm gay and I want to get married and I want to get married in a church, then it's incumbent on me to find a church that will marry me if my heart's desire is to get married in a church.
Hear, hear.
What I think the problem is...
I want to know the problem. Stand by, Cheryl. We'll give you a chance to explain it here. This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE.
You heard the discussions all over the radio. You couldn't believe what you were hearing. You trusted them. How could you have not seen the signs? You felt betrayed. Outrage set in. Your emotions began to consume you. Then, nothing. Now they're talking football. Days turn to weeks and months. Then, you've forgotten. But they haven't. They're still monitoring your every move. It's coming. Monitor blockitpocket.com. Or will you forget?
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You may join us right here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And joining you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
We've got a website. It's freetalklive.com. It's brand new, been redesigned just for you. Unfortunately, the downloading for the shows has been broken for the last few days. So if you want to listen to Free Talk Live, it's best to subscribe to the podcast at the moment. There are ways to download the show. In fact, there's a sticky post on the front page of the website that will give you instructions on how to accomplish that. I apologize for the inconvenience, and it has been inconvenient for some people. So we're working on it behind the scenes to get her done and get that solved. But in the meantime, everything else should be working just fine over at freetalklive.com, including your ability to actually submit content right there to the front page of the website, and then vote it up or vote it down, whether you like or dislike it. And then we'll take a look at it and consider it for show prep. Might talk about it on the radio. It's Ian and Mark here. Our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. Cheryl's listening in Indy. Cheryl, you were driving at some sort of a point, but you didn't have much time there. Go ahead with your thoughts now.
I appreciate you putting me on hold. That's
Sure.
fine. I'm driving still. What I was trying to say is I think the problem right now that we're facing is, as far as we know, the most recent statistics I heard is that the gay population represents less than 5% of the people in our country. So we've got less than 5% of the population, and we are being told that it's discrimination to choose not to marry them, to choose not to make a cake for their wedding, to choose not to photograph their wedding. And if I'm a gay person, and I have a gay brother, and I think he would probably agree, if you want to get married in a church, then you find a church that has no problem with that, and you get married.
I agree.
What I don't like is when people walk in a church or a bakery or a photography studio and say, this is what I want, and when they're told, no, thank you, we don't choose to do that. Now it's become this big thing.
Some people sued over that, and
let's get all legalistic. Let's run them out of business. Let's accuse them.
Yeah, I think that's horrible.
Yeah, I think this is where gay rights jump the shark first. First off, why in the world would you want to force somebody to make a cake for you?
Exactly.
The worst cake in the world. I mean, you're not going to eat a cake that you made somebody make for you. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Exactly, because you aren't even going to know what's in it. You might not want to know. But the point is that we're not allowing freedom. We're talking about freedom.
I agree with you, Cheryl.
Freedom. And you know what? If I'm a baker in a town and there's two gay people and they walk in and I don't want to bake their cake, they can go someplace and find someone that will.
They can come to my bakery.
My business. I don't think my business is going to take a hit.
Oh, yeah, well, because I won't go there either. Because if I find out that you're doing that, let the market decide. The market will decide the success or failure of churches, businesses, photographers, etc. I'm with you there, Cheryl.
Yep, I absolutely call that religious freedom, or whatever freedom. Philosophical freedom.
Absolutely.
If you're an atheist
Business
that doesn't
freedom.
feel like making cakes for gay people
or Christians
or Christians or whomever it is that you don't want to make cakes for, you shouldn't have to do it, because to force somebody into that is a form of slavery, and that's ultimately what democracy is. Democracy is 51% telling 49% how they've got to live and how they've got to be and how they've got to act.
Yeah, democracy sucks.
And you know what? In my own experience, I married an atheist. I was raised in the church. My pastor refused to marry us because I was marrying a non-believer.
Wow.
You know what? I didn't stop going to church there. I didn't hold it against him. His belief was that it was against the oath he took as a pastor to marry the unequally yoked. I didn't like it, but I got in the Yellow Pages. I found someone else to marry us. I found a venue that would marry us, that there were no problems with, and I continued to go to that church for years after that. I've respected my pastor's right to say no.
Problem solved. Thanks, Cheryl. Appreciate hearing from you tonight. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I mean, it certainly is discrimination to tell someone, I don't want to make a cake for you. That by definition, because of whatever reason, that is by definition discrimination. And that's okay. If people want to discriminate, they should be free to do that. I can also discriminate in return and say, hey, look, if you don't make this gay couple a cake, then I'm not going to do business with you ever, because I think that that is inappropriate. I think that, leave those people alone. If they want to make a cake, then make them a cake, whatever. But you shouldn't be forced to.
I think that right. I think that it comes down to your belief system. If that's and I may or may not choose to go to a business that makes whatever decisions they make. At some point or another, if you choose to boycott every business that doesn't believe like you believe in every way, you have now boycotted every business.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's one of the difficulties with this whole line of thinking. But to force people that don't believe other than what you believe, I think it's problematic, and it's at some point or another it's going to result in less freedom for yourself. If you want freedom, you need to protect the freedoms of other people that disagree with you.
You can join us right here toll free at 855-450-FREE. Let's talk to Stephen in St. Louis. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, how's it going?
What's on your mind tonight, Stephen?
Well, I follow all the news, and this most recent thing about this plane crash in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula killed like 224 people.
Yeah, Russian plane crashed.
No, actually, it was a Norwegian plane.
Oh, really? Okay, all the headlines are saying it's a Russian plane.
Well, no, it was a Norwegian plane.
Huh.
Let's see here. So the passengers on board, including 214 Russians and 3 Ukrainians, the Egyptian government said in a statement. Now, they said that, but other people are saying other things. Anyway, the flight was 9268. It was.
I smell a conspiracy coming on here. Where are you going with this?
I'm trying to explain it to you.
All right.
So the flight was actually operated by Kolgolyaminiva.
Yeah.
So maybe that is Russian.
Well, all the reports are saying it's a Russian.
Maybe I misread this.
It's a Russian flight.
Yeah, well, it said out of St. Petersburg. It died.
Okay. So we've determined who ran the flight. Now what?
Okay, so I'm just wondering, with all the tensions and difficulties in the area, was this an accident? Or, who could have, if there was a terrorist attack, who could have been?
Difficulties in Egypt?
They're thinking, a lot of people are thinking maybe Egypt, maybe ISS, maybe the Russians, who knows?
Could be.
Who knows, indeed. I don't know. If a plane crashes, do we immediately suspect a surface-to-air missile? I suppose that should be on the plate. It sure didn't seem like, it was a Russian missile that took down a plane from Northern Europe just a few months ago. So I guess that, there could be some retribution that somebody's thinking about. But these are, in all cases, innocent passengers and shouldn't be, they shouldn't be privy to this.
Most of them were French. There were some others. It's Austrian. It's not the Russians.
I'm not sure what we're talking about.
Well, Stephen, I'm not sure where we're supposed to go with this besides, speculation here, right? Because nobody really knows anything at this point. Whenever you've got breaking news like this, first of all, details get wrong. I mean, the CNN and whoever else it is, I've got the CNN story here pulled up, but whoever else it is that's reporting on this, they do their best, I think, to try to ferret out the actual information from whatever's being thrown around out there on the various different channels.
Yeah, I'm on the ACB net. Yeah.
Stephen, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. There's just no point in getting on the air and saying, well, it could have been this, it could have been this, it could have been this. I mean, it could have been a lot of things. Could have been aliens, space rays, or whatever, but probably not. So who knows what has actually happened. There will likely be some kind of an investigation and some sort of official determination, and the conspiracy theorists will, of course, ignore all of those things. And I'm not saying that you should trust the government. By no means am I saying that at all. But what can you do, really? I mean, unless you're there investigating it yourself, you got to kind of take somebody else's word for it, right? 855.
All the information you get is secondhand.
855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Just, maybe don't fly over Egypt anymore. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom in the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
My name's Clyde, age 59, and I reside in Florence, South Carolina. The doctors diagnosed me as having clogged arteries. Felt like I was carrying heavy concrete blocks around my feet and legs. I started taking Heart and Body Extract as directed. It is less than 3 weeks, and I'm like a young man again. It's unbelievable that an herbal formula can work so fast and so powerfully.
Learn the secrets of an effective, natural, 100% organic nutritional supplement for a healthy heart and circulation at hbextract.com.
KDArmor.com is your one-stop shop for the most affordable body armor, period. With packages starting at $169.99 and free shipping on every order. Why would you go anywhere else? KD offers soft armor and rifle threat rated armor up to level 4. Go to KDArmor.com and get your body armor today while you still can. Mention this ad and receive a free water purification kit for a limited time with any body armor package. Go to KDArmor.com. That's CATI armor.com. Come and take it.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting block and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Toll free to join us right here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username is lrn.fm. And, of course, you can join us online. The website, I don't know if I was clear before, there is a issue with the downloading. If you click the comments on the top item on the website, which is announcing sort of that there's a problem, it'll give you instructions on how to manually download things. But a good way to receive Free Talk Live online is through our podcast. That way it's automatically delivered to you whenever the episode is released. And, of course, you can find out more about how to do that over at freetalklive.com. It's Ian and Mark in the studio with you. You can call about whatever's on your mind. Dana is on the line in Indianapolis. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Dana.
Hey.
Hey there.
You said something earlier about representatives in New Hampshire or someplace that make very little money.
Yes.
Per
$100. State representatives make, and senators make $100 per year plus a small mileage stipend.
Well, one of the things that I know has been thrown out there for a long time is our congressional people that have been there for 30, 40, 50 years, and that there should be term limits for congressmen because they're not in it for the public or for the good of the country. They're in it to make money, and they can be bought and sold by whoever is willing to pay them the most. And the only way we can ever change that is to make it so that they're not trying to constantly make money to get reelected.
How are you going to make it so that happens without their consent?
That's the problem, because they are the ones that would have to write the law.
That's right.
So the only, and that would put them out of a job. So my possible solution would be to write a bill that wouldn't go into effect for maybe 15 years, 10, 15 years. And maybe those people that are writing it would see themselves as retired or whatever by then, or at least the majority of them. And so they wouldn't mind writing a bill for somebody else to have term limits. Because
that's the best solution I've heard yet. I've got to say, I've been against term limit laws for a while, just because I considered them to be not of much value. But I've been swayed recently on this issue. I do think that when you get these really entrenched politicians that get all this power accumulated to themselves, it makes it so that even the other representatives get elected in, they don't have the power. So I like the idea of keep churning the pot, but how to get it done, it seems like a lot of political capital for very little. But in your suggestion here, just making it some rule that takes effect way in the future, I think is a better idea. Or possibly they are working on a constitutional convention on this issue, and it's relatively close in getting done.
Well,
so we'll see.
But wait
that.
a minute. I mean, if it's true, and I believe that it certainly is, that these politicians are being bought and sold by mega corporations and special interests, then obviously if one of the politicians proposes the idea of term limits and the mega corporations or special interests see that as a threat to their power, then they'll vote against it, won't they?
Well, that's possible, and I'm not sure why. I don't know how it ever became legal to bribe a congressman.
That's not bribery. It's a campaign contribution. It's a donation to a PAC.
I just think then it needs to be limited to $50 or something, because it doesn't seem to me that anybody would deny that this has become, I mean, even well-meaning, determined, moral people go in meaning to do the best they can for the government, for the country, and after 10, 15 years, they've lost their minds.
So
They're
here's
doing the same thing as everyone else.
So the obvious downside to term limits is you're also term limiting somebody who in theory might be good, right? So Ron Paul had what, 12 terms or something like that?
That's true, but I'm hoping that
So there goes Ron Paul.
Other people, but there will be other people that are worthy of taking those.
What's the evidence that those people are seeking those roles?
Justin Amash is pretty good compared to Ron Paul.
I mean, I think if you have people that are actually know that this is a short-term thing, they can go in, they can spend, 10, 12 years doing whatever they can to improve the government, pass laws that are common sense, and this is not all about whatever lobbyists will pay you the most, then you might have people that actually got involved in government because they feel like they can make a difference.
So your proposal
Nobody feels
is
like
10
they
years?
Can make a difference.
Your proposal's 10 years?
I don't know. I haven't thought it through that far. I mean, I'm not sure.
Any proposal would be better than what we have. But
I agree.
the difficulty is getting something done. What you're asking the pigs at the trough, and I don't mean to insult pigs, but you're asking the pigs at the trough to decide how much food they get. And being a pig farmer, I can tell you they are ravenous beasts. They just keep eating till they're full.
I would never expect them to pass that law about themselves.
Yep.
But if they could say it's not going into effect until 2030, then they might be willing to do that.
It's an interesting proposal. I've never heard it before. You can always call your congressman and see how that goes.
Well, they did this with Obamacare. It's not going to go into effect for 2 years, and then, everybody was okay with it because
well, I'm not okay with it.
Then.
Hey, thanks, Dana.
Well, I'm talking about then.
I appreciate your call tonight. Thank you for making it and sharing your thoughts with us. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If it's a threat to the status quo, they're not going to do it. I mean, I get where she's coming from, the idea that they might decide to screw their, the people coming down the line 15 years later. I mean, it is the best probably proposal for term limits as far as at the national level. But you're probably better off trying for secession at this point.
I heard some term limit guys out there that have had some success getting state governments to advocate for term limits for national reps. And because it would be state governments, they could actually get, sort of an amendment to the Constitution in place. I think that's the best route, and the same guy in his conversation convinced me on an issue I haven't been convinced on in years. So
the issue of term limits?
The issue of term limits.
So you're in favor of term limits now?
I'm in favor of term limits.
How many years?
10's fine.
10.
What difference does it make?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if the idea is that term limits are good, then the idea should be that shorter terms are better than longer ones, right? If turnover is the idea, churning through these politicians so they don't have a long time to really do damage and make political connections with these mega corporations or whatever, then wouldn't 2 years be better than 10?
At that point, how are you going to deal with a Senate, term?
I'm sorry, I was thinking New Hampshire. There are 2-year terms here. 4 years, whatever the minimum amount of years is.
I think their numbers, these term limit guys' numbers are different than what I'm suggesting, but 10 has gravitas. The president's limited to 10, so if you say 10 across the board, then there you go.
All right, let's go to Millicent calling from Illinois. You're on Free Talk Live, Millicent.
Yes, hi. My take on that Russian aircraft that went down was that I think Russia had shot that Malaysian 370. No one ever found those people, and I think Russia was the one that shot them down, and they got them back.
You're talking about from a couple years ago? The 370?
Yes, the Malaysian jet that went down. I believe Russia did it, and now they got them back. They waited, and they got them back.
Seems kind of petty, but I wouldn't put it past the government
missile
to do
that took down that Malaysian jet, they typed as a type that has been phased out of the Russian military. Now, the Russian separatists in Ukraine may very well have been issued that missile, and the argument for it is that only a trained Russian crew would know how to operate that missile. So maybe, it was maybe Russia sort of sent some covert folks in. They made a mistake. They shot down the wrong plane. And
that's what I mean. Yeah,
Okay.
they
I'm
did
sticking
make
with
a
aliens.
mistake.
That's ridiculous.
Thanks, Millicent. I appreciate hearing from you tonight. I mean, if we're in the realm of speculation, then anything's valid as far as I'm concerned. I mean, who knows if Russia did whatever and then they got him back? I mean, it's all
we can tell
pure
what type
speculation.
of missile it is. It's not pure speculation. When you've gone through the wreckage, you've decided what type of missile it was, down to the model number. It's not pure
You're
speculation.
saying terrorists couldn't get their hands on Russian missiles?
Could terrorists fire it? We're not talking about a shoulder-launched missile here, pal.
Toll-free numbers 855-450-FREE.
If you got into an ICBM silo, would you be able to fire a missile?
855-450-3733. It's Free Talk Live.
If you expect secure, privacy-oriented services and real human support from your web hosting provider, choose Virtual Space International. From domain names and SSL certificates to offshore banking accounts, Virtual Space International has been the all-in-one, multi-language solution for over 25 years. And satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. We even accept Bitcoin. Find out how to get 50% off for life at SaveTimeHosting.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinner time conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, October 31st, 2015. Silver is trading at $15.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,142 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $332. Antiwar.com reports, with Friday's Syria talks in Vienna ending relatively uneventfully, the negotiations are on hold for at least a couple of weeks. When they resume, they'll have something that's never before been countenanced in talks about the future of Syria: Syrian representatives. Diplomats say that the Syrian government and certain opposition groups will both be invited to send representatives to the talks, which will be the first time either side has been involved in the main international talks, and the first time both sides will be attending the same set of talks under any circumstance. Throughout the Civil War, most of the international efforts to end the war have either been U.S.-centric or Russia-centric, with an eye toward either of them propping up their respective allies. To the extent that these joint talks have taken place involving both the U.S. and Russia, there has been a sense that they've been deciding how to carve up post-war Syria without getting real input from actual Syrians. Still, the recent talks have not suggested much appetite for compromise from most of the participants, and the addition of the new factions may simply amount to more voices for everyone else to ignore while they issue their own respective demands. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports plans submitted by 146 countries to cap greenhouse gas emissions do not go far enough to keep the global temperatures from exceeding the danger threshold, according to the United Nations. Pledges submitted by all developed nations and three-quarters of the developing nations deliver sizable emission reductions and slow emission growth in the coming decade, but the UN's Climate Change Secretariat said in a report released in advance of a global climate summit that they will not be sufficient to reverse by 2030 the upward trend of global emissions. The plans, known as Intended Nationally Determined Contributions, are intended to be used as building blocks for the United Nations World Conference on Climate Change in Paris beginning November 30th, when participating countries hope to finalize the global pact. On October 1st, countries worldwide, including the United States and China, together representing the world's largest greenhouse gas emitters, pledged to outline plans for cutting emissions. Christiana Figueres of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change said the plans represent a clear and determined down payment on a new era of climate ambition from the global community of nations.
For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports almost a third of the 6,000 federal prisoners scheduled to be freed between Friday and Tuesday, part of a push to reduce America's soaring incarceration rate, will immediately be turned over to immigration authorities for deportation proceedings. While this weekend will be a happy occasion for the thousands of inmates who are U.S. citizens and who will reunite with their families, many of the roughly 1,700 foreign inmates to be put on the deportation track will leave family members behind in the United States. Despite assurances from the Obama administration that the transfer of ex-convicts into the custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement is a routine occurrence, immigrant rights advocates worry that they may not receive due process as they leave. Final deportation orders are in effect for 763 of the foreign inmates who could be deported within the coming days. The rest will be transferred to immigrant detention centers to await orders. The latest mass release, one of the largest in U.S. history, is a result of retroactive reductions to mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines for certain nonviolent drug offenses. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. In a landmark 5-4 decision issued this Wednesday, the Supreme Court ruled to allow Americans to cram cash directly into politicians' mouths. The ruling, which effectively eradicates former prohibitions against stuffing checks and stacks of $100 bills straight down the throats, ears, and other orifices of presidential and congressional candidates, is expected to fundamentally alter the ways American politicians have large quantities of money shoved right into their bodies. In football music news this week, the 1985 Chicago Bears reunite to record their first new material since the Super Bowl Shuffle. The group says the new material will be darker and more introspective than its Shuffle-era work. And in this week's op-ed pages, a man asks why, if God exists, doesn't he throw us like a really sweet party? In other news, an increasing number of men feel pressured to accept realistic standards of female beauty. FedEx confirms that more than 600,000 people try to mail themselves each year. And a recovering alcoholic doesn't need friends to have a good time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, and it is the live Halloween edition of the program. You can join us here. You can bring up anything that you want. Doesn't have to be Halloween related. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And with you in the studio tonight, Ian here.
And Mark.
Let's go right back to your phone calls and thoughts. We've somebody brought up term limits in the last hour, and that's what Scott is responding to, listening to WTMA in Charleston, South Carolina. Hey, Scott.
Hello, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
It's our pleasure.
I'm very grateful to get you on the radio Saturday and Sunday night.
Thank you. We are grateful to be there. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Don't have the internet. Wish you had a tip line or a contact us at. Listen, I'm in favor of term limits.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, as someone explained to me a long time ago, the reason we need term limits is because of the committee system. If we didn't have a committee system, and the committee system started during World War I, where you needed a war committee. And if we didn't have a Senate committee on this and a Senate committee on that, congressional committee on that, that's where the power is. That's where the longevity is. That's why you need to stay in Congress to garnish power. If we didn't have committees, I think Congress is about 435 people, correct?
That sounds right.
Yep.
Give or take.
Yep.
No.
If and you're going to have three or four people up at the top, that's fine. But if member X rises to propose ABC, XYZ, you've got about 430 equals voting on it. And
so what you're saying is you think that the fact that these people are sitting on a certain committee means they really want to stay in that place of power. That makes sense.
That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
That's why we need term limits. So
you're saying that without the committees, you wouldn't need term limits because they'd be less powerful.
That's what I would respectfully suggest.
Okay. Well, once again, we're still stuck with the same problem as the last caller, and that is that these congresspeople are not going to vote to decommission their power, right? They're not going to take that away from
There's
themselves.
no way for me to rebut necessarily what you're saying. I wouldn't even try to rebut it. I don't know. The average person's ignorance with the way Congress operates is, what are the reasons they get to do what they do?
You know where I'm calling from?
Charleston, South Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, in '92 we had Fritz Owings and Strom Thurmond on the Armed Services Committee, and still we had our Navy base closed. I mean, you would think we would have some power, and you would think our Navy base would not.
Don't confuse yourself with the politicians. You don't have power. They might have some power, but you certainly aren't wielding any.
Strom got a good payoff.
Brother.
Hey, Scott, thanks for your call, man. I appreciate you bringing that forward. I mean, certainly the committee system is putting some people above others within the U.S. government. But, there's no fixing this Titanic. It's a sinking ship, and I hope it goes down soon. Good riddance to the United States.
Termlimits.org is working on a way to bring forward a grassroots constitutional change, and they have it's a Herculean task. But it's not impossible what they have laid out before them.
Well, and that would require a constitutional convention. Right?
2/3 of state legislatures, that's 34, must pass bills applying for a convention to consider only amendments for congressional term limits. Congress is then compelled by law to call the convention, which includes delegates chosen solely for their respective states.
But haven't the Congress haven't the state legislatures already passed the constitutional conventions in more than 2/3?
Not quite.
Really?
And
I thought okay.
And remember, anything that passes through a constitutional convention must then be ratified by 38 states. Okay. So if you're afraid that they're going to make it's 3/4. Okay. If you're afraid they're going to make some kind of wild cockamamie rules or whatever, that's not going to happen. But term limits is one of the widest swaths of agreement that we have in the electorate. A vast majority of people, right, left, moderate, whatever, agree on term limits. So it is possible that they could do this. And they could possibly do it just on one issue.
So wait, it was 2/3 of states have to call for the convention.
Yep.
And then 3/4 of Congress has to vote for it, or 3/4 of the states.
The Congress is compelled by law to call the convention,
Right.
which includes delegates chosen solely by their respective states, not by Congress. The convention
and the delegates vote for it.
Yep. The convention reports out an amendment for congressional term limits. Just that one thing in this case. And the amendment must then be ratified either by 3/4 of state legislators or state conventions.
But I could have sworn someone called and told us that over the last 200 years, like almost every state has called for the Constitutional Convention.
I don't know what to tell you, and I don't know what the time frames are. I would hope that termlimits.org, which is not a small organization, has some people looking into this. I'm just a talk show host. This isn't my main issue, and I don't have the all the money that's going into this. But the American public, if they want this, really, if you want this, you're gonna have to put some money behind it. No, you don't call your congressman. Your congressman's a liar and a thief. But the question is here's what you do. You turn your liar and thief in your state capital against your liar and thief in the nation's capital, and then maybe they'll stick it in each other's back.
I love it when they fight one another, the government guys. Let's go to Frank. He's listening in Virginia Beach. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Frank, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going?
Go ahead. Great.
I got to tell you something. I feel like a dog chasing a car. You guys have covered so many cool subjects. It's not funny. Gosh, I mean, transgender, aircraft shoot downs, term limits. Yeah, it's awesome. It's like a mosh pit. What I'm going to settle on is I want to do the airplane shoot down.
Oh boy, more speculation. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a master of speculation. That investigation summary, there was so much razzle dazzle noise over the culprits and a lot of finger pointing over that.
This is the Malaysian airline that happened several months ago. There's been nothing that happened on the airline that just crashed this evening. Okay.
Absolutely. And so there was this massive, attempt to really publicly excoriate the Russians for shooting down the Russian separatists, shooting down the Malaysian aircraft, which would be totally against their interests. But anyway, there was that was the assumption. And then they took the investigation, they took all the findings, and they took it back over to The Hague. And that's where it settled. And the results of it were very quietly, it fell off the airwaves. And what was the summary of it was the results were to be classified and not to be released, except by the approval of the Five Eyes, the 5 nations that were involved, including the U.S. as far as that. And that told you right there that there was a lot more to it than we were being told. That there was it was to be suppressed, and then it was just suddenly resurrected. And now there was as far as the claimancy of who was the perpetrators. Just right now, when Putin came in and started working with the Syrians in Syria. So it was. It sounded like it was one of those. Oops, we shot it down. And
who's we?
We being the NATO side of the house. I'm not even going to go into speculation for the reasons, but
there were Russians on the panel. They didn't dispute the make of the missile, and the make of the missile.
No,
was
it's not
Russian.
that. Let me tell you something. We have all kinds of Russian armament we work with. We work Russian tanks, Russian machine guns. We work with Soviet equipment all the time.
Frank, thanks for the call, man. I do appreciate your thoughts.
Right.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We're talking about Flight 370? It's Free Talk Live.
I was coming out of the hardware store when I saw him. An old man, late 70s, hunched over in the freezing rain, no hat on his head, limping across that slippery parking lot, and pushing a row of shopping carts toward the cart corral. It's heartbreaking. Millions of hardworking Americans simply don't have enough money to retire, so they just keep working and working and working until it's too late. Hi, I'm Chad Stubbs, President and CEO of PowerTrader, and I believe that's just plain wrong. That's why I'm now distributing to the public absolutely free copies of Power Trader's game-changing book on how regular folks can make the money they need to retire fast. For your free copy, call 1-800-771-6706. Don't let the lack of money rob you of your retirement. Call now for details and get your free copy of this book before it's too late. 1-800-771-6706. But hurry while supplies last. 1-800-771-6706. 1-800-771-6706.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
If you're looking for work, it's a process of elimination, and you're trying not to be eliminated. So here's a tip for making the cut, and this might seem subtle, but to the person interviewing you, it's not. There is a world of difference between applicants who convey, "I need a job," and those who simply ooze, "I want to work," especially in these lean times when many you're competing with will seem desperate in "I'll take anything" mode. If you convey specific interest in this job at this company, you will be conspicuous. Thus, the value of going to school on the company you're applying to before the interview. With money and attention so tight now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, and it is the live Saturday edition. It's actually Halloween edition of Free Talk Live. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
You know, we never really did any of our typical Halloween stories this year, Mark. Maybe we should do that post-Halloween this year. Normally there's like the standard Halloween stories about the hell houses, and we always love to bring those things up. I think we were distracted with all the conventions going on this week. So if you want to comment on Halloween-related stories, you're certainly welcome to do that. We've ended up into constitutional conventions and plane crashes. Now, the flight that I mentioned at the very end of the last segment, Flight 370, that number was mentioned earlier about Malaysian Flight 370. That's the one that's missing. And so what we were talking about... They may have found it
like in Indonesia, Philippines, and some island, but go ahead.
Malaysia Flight 370 is missing, according to the Wikipedia article.
Yeah, still declared missing.
So the Malaysian flight that was being talked about, you believe was actually Flight 17?
17,
which was
yeah.
shot down over, was it Ukraine?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was what we were talking about. I want to make sure we had our numbers clear here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We'll continue here with your calls and thoughts. We've got Jeff in Chicago. You're on Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything, so go ahead, Jeff.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yes, sir.
I was going to do something lighter today.
Please.
I made a decoration. I made a miniature pine coffin and engraved bats on the lid, and you can see it on Facebook. If it's, do you mind if I give the
Well,
site
why
out?
would we want to see it?
Okay, I mean, I'm just saying it's kind of cool.
We'll take your word for it. If you want, you can post it on our Facebook page. That's a way to do it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah. So what about it?
Okay. Well, I just it's kind of cool. I mean, it's got like a cookie jar lid. It's like big enough for putting pens in and stuff like that. It was kind of goth girl inspired, but anyway, I thought it would kind of lighten up the subject.
So you've called to share with us your craft project tonight?
Yeah,
That's
yes,
cute.
It's like so.
Ian,
I'll
such a
post it on
jerk.
your Facebook page.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. I appreciate it. So post all your crafts on our Facebook page. Why not?
I'm interested in seeing it now.
Yeah. All right, let's go on here. Dennis, listening in Montana. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Dennis.
Hello there. How are you tonight?
Good. Go ahead with your thoughts, Dennis.
You guys were talking about the states convention and the convening thereof. There was a really smart guy by the name of Mark Levin. He's a constitutionalist.
The Constitution!
And he wrote a book called The Liberty Amendments. And there's 13 amendments that could be considered by the states convention. And your listening audience, if they're interested in that sort of thing, might want to pick that
Sounds
book up.
awful. It sounds just awful. What in the world was he proposing?
Term limits for one. There would be a change in the. I believe there would be a change in the way the Congress is compensated. And,
Meaning, get rid of their compensation? I'd like that.
Portions of it.
Uh-huh.
I think the retirement, the guaranteed retirement thing, is one of the things considered, and some adjustments to some of the existing amendments, but not the first 10, I believe.
Why bother with all this effort? I mean, it's very unlikely it's ever going to really happen. Why not just end the United States? Isn't it a failed experiment?
Well, it may be a failed experiment, but it's the greatest experiment that embraces personal liberty that we've had in the history of man.
So the greatest failure that...
Let me challenge that statement. Now, it's not that I actually have read through these Liberty Amendments, and I largely agree with them. I know there's a certain competitive aspect between Levin and Free Talk Live. But I want to challenge the idea that the United States is some great experiment in liberty. Canada is currently rated by 3 different charts: the Fraser Institute, the Heritage Institute, and Cato Institute. Not exactly liberal bastions, by the way, any of these, as more fiscally and socially free than the United States. And it didn't fight a revolutionary war. It didn't require a bunch of rich people getting a bunch of poor people to die to have their debts annulled by the crown once they won the war. And, they still have all the freedom that we do.
Well, that may be true, but you're talking about social.
I'm talking about fiscal freedoms. The Canada is rated higher by the Fraser Institute, by the Heritage Institute, and by Cato Institute as higher economic freedom than the United States.
And it's rated
the United
several
States
places
is about
higher.
20 and sliding down the list. This great experiment in freedom has failed.
It was a great experiment in personal liberty.
Okay.
Shouldn't personal liberty be the freedom to do business? Shouldn't it include that?
It's free enterprise.
No, it's not, though, is it? We don't have free enterprise, do we?
No, we don't. But
so what do you think about Canada having more free enterprise than the United States?
Well, okay.
I know, it's hard to accept, right?
No, it isn't hard to express.
It's hard to accept.
What about medicine?
Well, yeah, there's absolutely. They have the socialized medicine up there. There's no doubt about it. But imagine how much better it must be in other areas if they still eclipse the United States in that area.
Yeah, we're talking about an overall look. We're talking about an overall look at economic freedom of the entire world. The United States has been below Canada for longer than I can remember, and it has been falling on that chart. Hong Kong is consistently number 1 in economic freedom. Singapore consistently number 2 in economic freedoms across all.
That we can't fix this. You're saying
I don't know.
Screw it. Why bother?
I think the best way to do it is to lower the power of Washington, D.C., which...
That's not going to happen. So why not just, exit from Washington, D.C.? Why bother trying to fix this broken system?
Why don't we just separate the whole country into the United States into a bunch of smaller countries?
Yes. I am on board with that. You're serious about that, right, Dennis?
Well, I just threw it out there.
I love that idea. Doesn't that make sense? I mean, then there would be 50 different governments competing for people to move to their areas. Then we'd have actual more competition in the world for governments, and that would probably mean some of them would be less free, like New York and California, and then others of them, like New Hampshire, would be more free. And then people could make their choices and go to the place that best suits them. Doesn't that make sense?
Well, they're doing it now. There's a lot of people voting with their feet.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
they're
let's
moving
vote
from New York and California to, Texas and other red states. In many cases, New Hampshire, too.
Dennis, this is not a red state. This is a purple state. Thanks, Dennis, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. New Hampshire kind of switches back and forth every 2 years between Democrat and Republican control. And I don't know if that's something that happens on purpose, if the people of New Hampshire are cognizant that they don't want one party in control for too long. And I love that about New Hampshire. 2 years... every 2 years, the Republicans take control, the Democrats take control 2 years later. And it's great because they actually, here in New Hampshire, they actually spend their time, instead of passing a bunch of new laws, they still pass some new laws, but they spend a lot of their time undoing some of the laws that the previous administration, if you will, passed during its tenure. So it's always fun to have them spend their time undoing statutes and laws than passing new ones.
I'd like to see something entirely new in the paradigm of governance. I'm sick and tired of having Bronze Age systems for regulating space age activity. It doesn't make any sense that we have a democratic republic. This is old technology. We need to try something new.
855 450 free.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com. So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Free Talk Live.
People, they like to complain about the idea that the money is taxpayer dollars. It's not really true, is it? I mean, they were your dollars until you gave them to the government.
Right.
Now they're their dollars, and they're going to do whatever the hell they damn well want to do with them.
You're right.
It is still your money in that if a thief comes and steals money from you,
it doesn't cease to be yours just because they stole it.
You still have a claim on that, but you don't have the ability to control the thief unless you actually have him in your custody. So that thief is going to go out and buy a big screen TV or do whatever, spend it on coke and whores or whatever it is that thieves do with the money that they steal. And
that's what the politicians do with it.
Yeah, you can call the thief on the phone and say, "I told you not to spend that money on whores," and he's going to say, "Well, thanks for the input." Noted.
I appreciate that.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is down $3 at $1,144 per ounce, and silver is down 5 cents at $15.65 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $319 US. With interest rates expected to continue at near zero, investors are buying alternatives like precious metals. We can help you do the same. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll free. Our number for you to join us is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. How best to change the system? Well, I say, why bother? Let's just let it all crash and burn. Better yet, let's secede. Let's declare independence from this terrible, failed idea. Maybe it was a good idea in its time, but it obviously hasn't worked out, of the United States. 855-450-FREE. If you want to comment, you can also join us online. Just go to freetalklive.com. And if you get online, whether it's on your smartphone, laptop, desktop computer, tablet, you should be protecting your privacy. And a great tool to use is ProXPN. It's essentially a virtual private network. They offer OpenVPN, which is the best in network encryption. They've got apps for Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and there's Linux support as well. So it doesn't matter what device, what operating system, ProXPN is likely going to work for you. You go to proxpn.com/amp, and you can get a special deal if you pay with Bitcoin. This is the best deal that we've talked about with ProXPN. They've got some darn good deals. This is the best one. proxpn.com/amp. You pay with Bitcoin, you get 2 years of ProXPN for less than $50 worth of Bitcoin plus $5 of your purchase. We'll go to the Free Talk Live AMP program to help us advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live to get the ideas of liberty out there as far and as wide as possible, because the ProXPN, they like that. They like the ideas of liberty. That's why they're behind this program. Plus, we also care about privacy, so it's a good match. proxpn.com/amp. You pay with your Bitcoin, or you can pay with credit card. You just won't get the same special deal. If you're going to do credit card, use code FTL50, and you'll save 50% off their annual price point, or their 50% off the regular monthly price when you pay for their annual package. So, proxpn.com/AMP, like advertise, market, and promote. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. Let's go first to Richard, listening in North Carolina, listening to WSIC in Statesville. Hey, Richard.
Hey, how y'all doing this evening?
Welcome. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, let's talk about politicians. Do you feel that there is a politician out there on any level, from county commissioner to presidential, that is honestly in it for the American people and not themselves?
Ron
I think
Paul,
there might be other choices
but
than
he's-
the American people. So, like, the American people have a bunch of different thoughts.
Yeah, that's
Some of the
true.
American people want as much of the other American people's money as they can get.
That's a good
They
point.
want things that they don't work for. They want, they want bigger, cushier government budgets. They want all kinds of different things. It's not just like two groups. It's thousands of different desires that people have. So I don't think any politician's in it for the American people. Some of them are certainly in it for freedom, which I think is the best system for solving problems. But none of them are in it for the American people, because you can't be in it for the American people.
It just seems it's their ego that's driving them. And you know, why would you want to spend these millions of dollars to get elected for a position that doesn't pay very much, to have media and your counterparts drag up all your trash from the past? Bless them.
Thanks, Richard, for your call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. So, yeah, I mean, if they're in favor of freedom, then I would list Ron Paul, but he's not really a politician anymore. He's off the radar. So there's nobody that I'm particularly
You're on a
concerned with.
national level. He said any level.
Oh, state level? We got some really liberty-oriented reps in New Hampshire. That's true. But
Well,
naming their names wouldn't do you any
We
good.
moved here for the Free State Project almost going on 10 years ago now.
Yep.
And, the idea is to find a place where we can try the actual ideas of liberty, and see how that works.
Derek is on the line in Canada. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Derek.
Hey, how you going, Ian?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight, Derek? Go ahead.
Well, I was just talking about like the Free State Project this afternoon with a bunch of other people, and I'm up in Canada, and there's a whole whack of us who are like, yeah, it's a great idea. I'd love to move to New Hampshire, but even being Canadians, it's nigh on impossible for us to actually move to New Hampshire.
What if you moved here and got married to someone in America?
It isn't that easy.
I'm already married, have been for a while, have 2 children and a business, which I'm totally happy to relocate, right?
Yeah.
But like, even as like a productive member of a Western society, I can't move to New Hampshire with any sort of ease.
There
So
was a
even talking
project to create a Canadian Free State Project on PEI, Prince Edward Island. So you could look into what they've done with that. But I agree with you.
I currently live in Nova Scotia, which is as close in Canada as I can move to New Hampshire without actually like moving to New Hampshire. So there's like a ferry that actually runs from Yarmouth to somewhere in Maine there.
Tell me what, so I presume you've looked into the process of, as you said, you're a productive person, you've got a business. I mean, what is the first step, and, what is the step that is like impossible to traverse?
Well, the only way that you're actually going to get your like green card or sorts of like work permit and any of that jazz, like something you could actually move your family with, is if you spend more than $1 million in investment in a local business, or you have a business you're going to relocate that employs more than 20 people.
Wow.
So if you have either of those two things, it's like, you just wrote your own check to immigrate wherever the heck you want. But
20 employees is a lot, big headache and a lot of money.
Otherwise,
absolutely, it's way bigger than I ever intend to be. As I'm actually looking after the business sort of business. So for us, it's impossible. I mean, we just relocated from Australia to Canada, and it was a really easy. Took us 3 months, and we're all sorted out.
I would ask this to my listeners: America, why don't you want a hard-working guy who has his own business to live here? Oh, you do? You do want that? Oh, your government's not representing you.
See, this is
why you, when you advocate for stricter immigration laws, this is the crap you get. The state can't figure out. It doesn't have a scalpel. It has an axe.
This is absolutely why. I'm sorry?
When you have an axe, everything looks like something that needs to be chopped. And, I really would love to be part of the Free State Project. I would love to come down there and, not even be so much of an activist, just a business owner who is sympathetic to the causes. I love liberty. I love freedom. Just want to be somewhere where that can be possible.
Man, me too. That's what I want too, and this is why I think secession is so important.
California, it wouldn't be a thing. I'd already be there.
Derek, thanks, man. I appreciate the support. You should at the very least come down to visit if when you get the chance. You can certainly come temporarily, right? I mean, we had a girl from Canada in Montreal. She came down for like 3 months and stayed here. So you probably come down at the very least to come to the Liberty Forum.
Absolutely. Like as a vacation, we intend to come attend Pork Fest next
Perfect.
summer. But
Perfect. We'll look forward to seeing you then, because we'll certainly be there, Derek. And thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. We'll figure something out. Even if it's secession, we can move into the idea of getting out of the United States. Then we can let Canadians in and whoever the hell else wants to come in, I would hope. But now that's going to be a tricky thing to do, because even if we can succeed at seceding, then we'll still have to convince people to open the borders, which is a whole other ball of wax.
I think that you would probably, much of the success that you're looking for in autonomy for a given geographic region can be had simply through advocating for nullification and secession, not necessarily doing it.
Sure, but how do you nullify the immigration laws?
Once the federal government realizes that states are willing to say no consistently and over again and ask for things, because right now
I don't know the Border Patrol out.
I don't know that you have a majority of people in New Hampshire who are all fired excited about immigration.
No,
I don't know.
We don't even have enough people excited about secession. But when I talk to people about it, they seem to be interested in it. Let's talk to Dan, listening in Charleston, South Carolina, to WTMA. Hey, Dan.
Hey, good. How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, just tuned in recently. Haven't heard you guys much, but been listening a little bit more lately.
Welcome, sir.
The term limit thing would be great, and all. I'd love to see it, but to get them to vote about themselves,
not going to happen.
Not going to happen. But I'll tell you, if we could somehow figure out how to get the fair tax in, there'd be no reason for these guys to hang out in government for 20, 30, 40 years.
How is the fair tax going to stop them from hanging out for 20 to 40 years? I want you to explain that. Hang on, Dan. We'll bring it back, let you explain that here in moments. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. A national sales tax? Not a real fan of that idea. It's Free Talk Live.
BlakeDevelopment.net is a global leader in website creation, app development, and online marketing, catering to businesses of all sizes. There's really no job too big or too small for BlakeDevelopment.net. Do you have an idea for a killer app, but you don't know how to code it? Are you missing out on online sales? Or maybe your business needs help with social media? Websites start at just $200, and they're offering 3 years of free domain registry. Yes, they take Bitcoin. 844-SITE-123. BlakeDevelopment.net, 844-SITE-123.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
It's time to kick some ash because cigarettes have met their match. Smokers are switching to Vaporite e-liquid by LeSig because when you kick ash, you kick tar and smelly smoke too. LeSig smokes the competition with real people customer service, a 7-day satisfaction guarantee, and same-day fast free shipping. Become a vapor today at LeSig.com, spelled LECIG.com. LeSig e-cigarettes. Kick some ash.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right, General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for under $30,000. You heard right. That's 5,000 square feet under $30,000. Many manufacturers. If you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100 foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait.
Call 800-917-8251. 800-917-8251. 800-917-8251.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. If you don't get in tonight, though, no big deal. We're here on Sunday night as well. We're here 7 nights a week live, and you can join us to bring up anything you want. It's Ian and Mark in the studio with you, and we're going to go right back into your calls and thoughts because we had Dan in Charleston telling us that he believes the fair tax, which is a proposal to have a national sales tax, because no tax is fair. But Dan, your proposal was that the fair tax would somehow stop Congress from hanging out and spending long periods of time, years and years and years up there. How would that exactly work?
Well, of course, the fair tax, we're talking about first eliminating the IRS in lieu of and having the sales tax instead. But how that would work is, why would a guy spend millions of dollars of his own money to take a $100,000, $200,000 a year job?
Because he's getting kickbacks and benefits.
Power of the pen. Well, they have the power of the pen to punish and reward friends and businesses.
That's right.
And that power would be removed from them with the fair tax. There'd be no more tax code on individuals other than.
Well, wait a minute. A lot of the power is to regulate.
Corporate welfare is 10 times regular welfare. That means that there's all kinds of money.
No corporate tax either.
No, but
corporate welfare.
What I'm saying is corporate welfare. That means money from the government the corporations get for free is 10 times higher than that of social welfare programs here in the United States. So there is lots of things that politicians can do to reward their friends and punish their enemies still in Washington, D.C.
We want to do everything we can to eliminate their ability to have that power.
That's a great idea, but it's not going to happen, right? They're not going to eliminate their own power on their own.
The fair tax is an idea that's been out there for
this nation.
A couple of decades.
You're talking about folding the nation and the nation's failing and all that.
It's going to fail whether you fold it or not.
It's broke. $17 trillion in debt.
I hear that. And the fair tax also would allow corporations to bring money back into this country that's being held overseas.
I think that would give it a little bump forward. If you want my support for the fair tax, you've got to come up with a number. I don't want this whole, it could be 17 or 22 or anything like that percent.
Or 29.
Yeah, whatever the numbers are. I'm talking about,
I agree there should be a number.
God demands 10%. The government should get no more than 9.9.
Hey, I'd love it if it was that. But I'll tell you what we've got going on
politicians can steal because they have people with guns that collect for them.
Well, we hand them the power, and they're abusing us with the power.
I have never handed them anything. Everything they've always done is just take from me. I've never consented to it once.
I'm no fan of paying those taxes either.
So let's stop. Let's stop together. Okay, I've already stopped a decade ago. How about you?
You can't stop paying the fair tax, by the way. You can stop paying the income tax.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a
hey,
good
look,
point, Mark.
I
In
lived
fact,
up in New Hampshire a while ago, and I lived in New Hampshire a while ago, and I lived up there when they were conservative. I moved for work purposes. Love to come back, but I'll tell you, things ain't so great in New Hampshire right now with the government and the
Isn't
people.
New Hampshire the number one wealthiest state, Mark?
Yeah, it's a wealthiest state, and it's also probably freer than whatever state you're in. If you check the Mercatus Center's Freedom in the 50 State.
I'm with you on that.
Hey, thanks, Dan,
I'm no
for your
fan of
call,
that
man.
either.
I do appreciate
I'm
hearing
ready
from
to
you.
come back.
Thank you for the call tonight.
ready
Yeah,
to
check
come
out New Hampshire's a cool place, but whether it's conservative, I don't know about that. I mean, it certainly seems to lean more libertarian than any of the other states. Thank you.
I just love to give the fair tax a shot and shake it up before we fold.
Yeah.
Let's give something else a shot.
How
before
much
we
money are you
fold.
going to throw at it, though? I mean, the fair tax, I mean, you're going to have to spend millions of dollars just to promote the idea. I mean, it's a lot of effort to just rearrange the deck chairs of the Titanic, right? I mean, it's not like the government, if you change the fair tax.
I don't know if it's quite that.
Yeah, it is, because it's not like the
IRS.
government's going to stop going to war and throwing a bunch of money down a hole. It's just going to change the way they collect the money. That's all. I mean, there's still going to be the same crappy, inefficient, outrageous, violent, terrible government that we currently have today. It's just they'll be changing around how they collect the cash. Thanks, Dan, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. I don't. It wasn't it Neil Bortz who was promoting this fair tax thing with some book years ago?
Yeah.
Didn't he claim that if the fair tax went into effect, that it would actually mean more money for the federal government?
I certainly it would be a more efficient, grabbing it. I think that I heard that, but I'm not going to go and.
Well, like you said, it would all of a sudden put everyone on the books. Because right now there are millions of people in the United States who don't pay income tax.
Tens of millions.
Yeah, and I think they're heroes for not paying income tax. Screw the federal government. Those people are evil as far as I'm concerned. They do terrible things in the world, and they do terrible things inside the United States. But the fair tax would be implemented by the companies, who are the retailers. They would become the agents for collecting that tax, and you would only be able to avoid it by shopping in the black market, which you better believe there'll be penalties for that in the fair tax code. So anybody that tries to dodge paying the fair tax on new products, and there was a proposal, I believe, to include it on used products as well. So who knows what the final bill would look like? You think you can get around it by going to the thrift store? Well, not if some people get their way. Anyway, we can get into that, but we don't have time for it. So let's continue with your calls and thoughts. We do have Therese on the program in South Elgin, Illinois. Go ahead, Therese.
Good evening.
Hey there.
I'd like to discuss the voting machine.
Sure.
And unless we go back to the paper ballot, we're not going to have any honest election. The last one, BO, the Marxist in the Oval Office, did not win that election. People were voting for other candidates, and they'd all come up for Obama. And I don't know if you're aware, and I was just made aware of this, that George Soros is making them. See, I thought that he just owned half of them in the country, but he makes them.
So hold on. Therese, I'm curious. If in 2016 a Republican wins the election, what will your theory be then?
Well, I'd still say the voting machines can be set. And
right.
I don't think a
but
Republican is going to
would
win
you
it.
also theorize that they would have been rigged in the 2016 election if a Republican wins?
I would say so, yes.
Okay, so then what does it matter if they're rigged? Because if you're choosing between politician A and politician B, and they're both going to make the government larger, really, what's the point?
Well, it matters because I think the fix is in for Hillary. Hillary can do no wrong. I mean, she is such a criminal, her and her husband, and she's not even fit to be a dog catcher. And nothing against dog catchers.
I don't think right. Dog catchers work for their money. I think I don't think Hillary can do it. I really don't. I don't think she can beat Sanders, frankly.
Because the press is just behind her, and you know what?
The press is behind Bush. Look at him; he's laying there at 4%.
Yeah, anything can happen. I mean, I don't know.
Look, just because you don't like the results of election doesn't mean it's fixed.
I get
Here
it.
in New Hampshire, we have paper ballots. Hold on. Here in New Hampshire, we have paper ballots, and our voters' totals suck just as bad as yours do. I think the problem is with the voters, not the voting machines.
Therese, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I wish we had more. I really
They may be rigged. I have no idea, but I can tell you they're just as bad here as they are elsewhere.
I wish we had more time to talk about it. I mean, come on. The idea that if Mitt Romney had won, somehow the country would be better off is ridiculous. They're all the same to me. Let's go on here.
George Bush expanded the government's intrusion in the medical sphere more than any other president had up to that point.
George Bush tremendously expanded government compared to even Bill Clinton. And, of course, Barack Obama has continued the George Bush policies. Jack is in Myrtle Beach. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Jack.
Hey, man, I just wanted to talk about that idea you guys brought up earlier with breaking up the United States and putting it into 50 different countries.
Yeah.
And my idea was, like, how exactly would you basically be able to have, peaceful competition in that environment where basically you got 50 states competing in a basically lawless environment? What would stop, say, Texas or California, the bigger states? They have a lot of power from just eating up the smaller states around them.
Well, guns might stop them.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But, like, let's say that...
What stops the European, what stops the...
Why does Belgium exist?
What stops Great Britain from rolling through all of Europe and taking over?
Well, I mean, if, like, at that point, that was just because the only reason they exist anymore is because they had so many, like, alliances and stuff. Like, let's say Texas allies with the entire southern region and just wants to invade everybody.
I'll take my chances. I'll take my chances. I'd rather have the what ifs than knowing this evil U.S. federal government is ruling over all of us.
Trust me, I'm all for that. I'd love to see an independent South Carolina.
I mean, think about it. Like, how much money do people spend in taxes every year? I think the average family, like a decade ago, was $10,000 a year. I don't know what it is today. I haven't looked at the numbers. But, if you could have an extra $10,000 in your family's budget at the end of the year, would that be worth taking a risk that Texas is going to roll through and take over Oklahoma?
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take the risk. I mean, because remember, there are people living in Oklahoma who love the people in Texas, who are family members with, and vice versa. I mean, the odds that people are going to all of a sudden become militant towards the state next door, it just doesn't jibe with the way the world is right now. There's less violence in the world today, as I understand it, than there have been in previous years and previous generations. Isn't that true, Mark?
Yeah. There's one guy out there that says so. There's other people out there that say vice versa. I don't know the answer, but I don't think that you're going to find basically a homogenous type of people like in the United States trying to invade each other.
Good call, Jack. Thanks for making it tonight. There's no reward in life without risk. We'll see you tomorrow night online in the meantime at freetalklive.com. Have a happy and safe Halloween and enjoy your weekend.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more.
It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Off the Air Live is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, October 31st, 2015. Silver is trading at 15.